see Councilmember Esparza, so oh, I see. Now I see the rest of my group. All right, so welcome everyone to Neighborhood Services and Education Committee. Today is November 10th, and I'm remotely chairing this committee, but we're going to make it work. And so I see my colleagues at the dais, and I believe we have quorum, correct?
Correct. Do roll call. Jimenez.
Present.
Cohen. Esparza.
Yeah, here.
Oh, thank you. Carrasco.
Here.
Arenas.
Here.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our first item, we have 6 items on our agenda, so I just want to preface this meeting by saying we will stay here as long as you all want us to stay here. So please make sure that we are concise with our presentations as well as our feedback. I'm putting, and I hope my colleagues agree, I'm putting a 5-minute limit on council member comments and questions, if the clerk can please make note of that. We're going to begin by, the consent calendar. There isn't anything on consent. This is item C, and then we're moving on to reports to the committee, which is item D1, and this is Community Garden Program Status Report. Welcome. I see people have already set themselves up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Avio Tom, and I'm the Deputy Director of Parks and Parks Recreation and Neighborhood Services. And I'm proud to join my colleagues, Division Manager Tori O'Reilly, Program Coordinator Manny Perez, and online Program Manager Leticia Espino to provide a status report and overview on our community garden program. Before I turn it over to the team, I just want to frame a little bit that this is a program that produces meaningful, impressive, and truly tangible results for 1,000 members of our community, helping them in so many ways that you're going to hear about. And for a program as lean as you'll hear it is, it truly punches above its weight. With that said, I'll turn it over to Division Manager Tori O'Reilly.
Thank you, Avi. So community gardens have been around for a long time, and they grew out of need. The first community garden opened in Detroit in the 1890s as part of the recession that was happening at that point in time, with surges seen in growth in gardens during World War II, the Great Depression, and World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II, at which time over 40% of the nation's produce came from Victory Gardens. So now I'm going to turn it over to Manny, who's our program manager.
Thank you, Tori. Benefits of a community garden. As you can see from the slide, community gardens provides a myriad of benefits to the community. During COVID-19, when almost all city services shut down, the city's community gardens remained open, providing not only nutritious produce, but an opportunity for participants to enjoy nature and a safe environment to avoid social isolation. The benefits of community gardening extend beyond the participants themselves through building more coherent and cohesive communities, improving the physical environments, and educating to the community about the environmental stewardship. Some quick facts about our program. The Community Gardens program was established in San Jose in 1977 with the opening of Nuestra Tierra. Plots remain affordable, with gardeners only paying 43 cents per year per square foot of gardening space. With the average plot size being 200 square feet, this would put the cost for the average gardener at $86 per year. Connection to Activate San Jose. As you may know, the department feels strongly about the guiding principles of Activate San Jose listed on this slide. The Community Gardens program has aspects which connect to each of these principles in both spirit and action. Stewardship ensures sustainability of garden spaces for future use. Nature Participants learn about nature's rhythms and cycles by planting and growing through all seasons. Equity and access provides fresh fruit and access to outdoor spaces to those who may not have access. Identity, the combination of backgrounds and experiences from the gardeners who have been part of the greater San Jose community. And lastly, public life, creating gathering places for participants to share meals and stories. The program currently has 21 community gardens, with the first garden, Nuestra Tierra, which opened in 1977, to El Viso, which opened this year. 8 of the 10 council districts currently have 1 or more gardens. Staff are currently evaluating locations for garden expansion with special attention to council districts 8 and 9, which currently host no gardens, and the areas of the city determined to have the highest need. Managing a garden takes a lot of effort and would not be possible without a partnership between the City of San Jose and the volunteer garden management teams. Together, the two groups process registrations, provide programming, and manage conflicts as they arise. There are 2 staff, 1 full-time and 1 part-time, to manage 21 community gardens, and each garden has 2 to 3 people selected to the garden management team. San Jose boasts a diverse population, and according to a recent survey shown above, the demographics of our gardeners closely reflect that diversity. Over time, each garden forms a tight-knit community based on similarities in background and life experiences. This is particularly true of the 60% of gardeners who are 55 and older. This sense of community may be why over 75% of surveyed participants reported visiting their plot multiple times per week, making the city's community gardens very busy places.
Thank you, Manny. So this next slide shows various neighborhoods in the city with the corresponding Healthy Places Index score for the area recognized by color. The darker the red color, the lower the Healthy Places Index score. Scores less than 50 identify communities at risk for lower health outcomes. The purple spots on this map are our community garden locations. Based on this data, staff found that 56% of our current gardens are located in areas of the city with the highest need. That is with a Healthy Places Index score of 50 or less. In a recent survey we conducted of community gardeners, 61% of the participants who responded felt that the healthy foods they grew in their garden plots contributed to the sustainability of their families. Throughout the city, we are experiencing both plot vacancies and waiting lists in our gardens. Statistically, gardens in areas with higher Healthy Places Index scores have longer waiting lists, while gardens in lower scoring areas have more vacancies. This seems like the opposite should be true. When analyzing the reasons why, we found out that residents in some of these lower income areas often cannot afford the cost of the garden fees. From the information above, staff recognized 2 very important aspects of the program which need to be addressed in a timely manner. The first is to identify funding for scholarships to allow access to gardens regardless of participants' abilities to pay. The second is to find a way to actively manage our wait lists, which some gardens are over 10 years long. Okay, so moving forward. Our staff are extremely proud of our current community garden program and believe it can be taken to a higher level. Above are recommendations from a 2016 study which staff have come up with as next steps. The department is currently looking for strategies to implement the steps above. So this concludes our report on community gardens. We ask that you accept our first ever report on community gardens, and we look forward to presenting again in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. We're going to go to the members of the public for public comment.
Blair Beekman.
Hello? Okay, it's working now. Hi, Blair Beekman with Mike Working. I wanted to say hello. This is an item that's interesting to myself. Thanks for your report, and that is the first. It is the first ever community garden report. I know that Tessa Woodmansey, I mean, she used to come here all the time talking about the importance of community gardens, and I felt it was important to mention her name and all the work she does towards this item. For myself, it's just a matter, I don't know as much, but it's nice to learn what you're talking about with this item and what is possible with this item. It's my feeling that in a city, you know, it's the small little things that we do, the small little projects, you know, the work with accountability with technology that I do. It's not, you know, so flashy, but if you really work on it, like with the community garden issue, there's a sum total that really is just the good things of a city, and this is really one of them. So good luck to yourselves on how to develop the community garden process. From your maps, you know, even though there's kind of a food desert within the central part of the San Jose, there's a lot of community gardens also as well, which that's an interesting combination, which made me think of, you know, the work of Emma Prush Park, what the work that goes on there, to really learn how to develop good garden practices within Central San Jose for our future. Good luck how we can do that and try to address the 10-year waiting list and how that can be a shorter process. And just the sharing and cooperation of food in our future from these areas, you can set a really good course. And good luck how you can do such things. Thanks.
Caller ending in 1324.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. My name is Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you for the report, although it's preaching to the choir. Those that are on this dais are very familiar with community gardens. We call them Sal Si Puedes. So it's nice that the city has come around and, you know, used this very euphemistic language and flowery and feel-good language to talk about this topic. However, I would challenge my city to put the 1939 red line map, put that on top of these designated areas that you outlined, okay, and stop calling these underserved, low-income people, high risk of early death people. We are Chicanos, we are Mexicanos. We are the largest population in this city. We're not as diverse as you may think. We're not that diverse. Okay, the Chicano and Mexicano community has suffered ever since 1846 in this city. Okay, and so what we need, in fact, I'm demanding it, is that we start designating to these red line districts, and we need to start articulating it in those terms, redlined districts, okay, and start allocating free land. And we start using census tracts. How many of these people can trace their lineage to 1940 when the redlining map was created? How many of these barrios, how many of these people are still living in these barrios that can trace their lineage to that 1940 census in terms of offspring? Let's start using those kinds of data. We have it. You can access it. Why don't you start using it? Thank you.
Case Hill.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Casey Hill. I'm the Executive Director at Vegelution. a longtime partner of the city through the Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services. I also wanted to offer my thanks for the report and to say ditto to what Paul just mentioned about not forgetting to always align these conversations with the reality of the impact of redlining in neighborhoods like East San Jose. And I just wanted to hold up that the community gardens that are all across the city, in particular those that we work closely within East San Jose, are not only great sites for thinking about food access, for growing fresh and healthy produce for families, but also for engagement with families directly and outreach. They're also places where we build trust, where we're able to celebrate. These are really incredible sites that should be always as accessible and affordable as possible. I wanted to offer that Veggielution, like so many of our other nonprofits in the city, are eager and open to exploring partnerships with the city to help achieve all of those things. And then last but not least, I think we want to also explore community gardens as a space to grow economic mobility within our communities. I'll just name that our full-time farm manager, Luis Hernandez, has been with us 3 years, and we met him through our neighbors who had plots at the community garden, El Jardín, right there at Emma Prush Farm Park. So just one more thing to consider, the many benefits that community gardens offer. I'm looking forward to learning more, and thank you to the PRNS team for this.
Back to the committee.
Wonderful. I see Councilmember Carrasco.
Hi, yeah, I'll be brief. I want to thank staff for the report that was just presented. It's nice to see the work that's being done for our residents. I do have a question. I thought I heard staff mention that the average cost of one of the little plots is $83 a month. So I just wanted to get some clarification around that. And I also wanted to get some clarification in terms of what are the policies around eviction of these plots. We had an incident, I'm sure Manny can recall it, at Emma Push Park. I want to understand when we look at these plots, especially since we know that these are in those neighborhoods where families are struggling with a lot of other issues, and the index indicates it. Staff just mentioned that these were great opportunities for people who were, stuck during COVID. And I just want to understand, what are the eviction policies around this?
Thank you, Councilmember, for the questions. I'll take a first shot and then look to the team to supplement. To the first question about cost, I want to clarify that the 43 cents per square foot and $86, I think on average, is a yearly amount, not a monthly amount. To your second question about eviction policy, what we do on an annual basis is go through our annual registration process, and gardeners who remain in good standing are eligible to register for the next year. During the pandemic, and in light of historic and unprecedented circumstances, we did take steps to go further to help meet people where they were. But globally, we look at every year as a new registration process. I'll look to my team if they want to supplement that.
And I'll just add, as far as the eviction process, it's case by case, but each year when the gardeners, either, get their plot for the first time or they renew their plot, we do have a list of rules and regulations which are updated on a regular basis. And they receive those on multiple occasions, and they're in multiple languages, and staff or volunteers will explain to them if they need any, if they have any questions. And then the garden participant agrees to those rules. And so if a participant is not following those rules, there's a process. They'll receive a warning, depending on how egregious it is, but they'll receive a warning. And, if it continues, we may in some cases evict people from the garden. And when we do that, that's primarily for the safety of the other gardeners, because as we said, they're communities and we want to protect the other people within the community.
Thank you for that. I guess I didn't hear though for those who are unable to make the payment or make it in the allocated time. I have a concern because I know that a lot of these folks who are maintaining those gardens are elderly. They're still using check or cash. They're still driving their way over. And I want to make sure that they're giving every affordable opportunity to get that payment to you before they get evicted. The reason why I bring it up is because it happened at Emma Push during the pandemic, which was one of the most difficult times for our folks. But also because if you change their plot from, say, Emma Push to Mayfair or to any other garden, we know that these folks have been over the years investing in that little plot, adding, or different kinds of investments into them that is going to cause them hardship if you change them from one plot to the other. So I like to see what your policies are. I haven't heard that there's still a policy regarding non-payment or how we make allocations for folks like that. If you could just elaborate.
Us and informs us that they're not able to, we try and work with them on finding ways to allow them to continue in the garden. In some cases, gardeners, and it clearly states if the plot is not paid for by a certain date, they will lose their plot, and they sign that form. And we do that because, in some cases we have waiting lists, and we want to be equitable to the people on the waiting list. But if somebody comes to us in that 2.5 months from when they receive their notice to when their payment is due, we can try and work with it. Usually if, somebody is removed from the garden, it's because we haven't heard from them and we have not received their payment. And so we just issue the plot to somebody else.
And I will just add in, Councilmember, we completely understand and agree with the concern that you're raising. And that's really a lot of the impetus why we brought this first ever community garden report, is our understanding that there are communities and members in our community, including existing gardeners, who struggle to meet the cost of the program. And that's what we're trying to daylight and bring some sunshine to through this process, and that we can develop over the next year a scholarship program around this and also seek funding to make that sustainable.
Thank you. So that's it for me, Chair, except that I'm just going to add one last final note. Sometimes $83, when we phrase it that way, it sounds like we're emphasizing how low of a cost it is. And for all of us who work for the city or elected to the city, it is a low cost. For individuals who are on a fixed income, such as our seniors, and this is some of the feedback I've gotten from our seniors, believe it or not, $83, even though it's on a yearly basis, is a stretch for them. And the fact that this gives them socializing opportunities for fresh foods, an opportunity to get out of their house for individuals who are extremely low income, and not just low income. I want to emphasize this. It's not just low income. They're isolated. They don't have resources. They're not vacationing in Cancun. They're not taking long drives down Monterey Road. These are individuals who, for the most part, this is their recreation and their opportunities to get out of the house and do something. And so I would hope that, I won't be here after December, but I would hope never to hear another senior tell me that they got evicted and that those opportunities were taken from them because they didn't make the payment on time. And especially for those who have been there for a long time, for years, in fact, that we're giving them every ample opportunity to pay, or even have staff or the district staff go and pick up that payment because they want to keep their plot. So that's it for me, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Esparza. Let's start that.
Thank you.
timer.
Thank you. So before I get to my questions, I wanted to thank the team for their work on the Vietnamese Heritage Garden, the community garden in there, and finding ways to expand it as well as update, and just seeing the community excited about having more plots underscores the desire in the community to have more of this, and what Councilmember Carrasco just said in terms of this being the the main recreation for low-income seniors on a fixed income. I wanted to follow up on her questions, her very good questions. In terms of eviction, what are the numbers? How many have we evicted?
I can't recall. I can go back and look to see, but it's rarely that we evict anybody. Maybe one every couple of years, one a year. But when we're talking about eviction, we're talking about egregious violations such as uh, having alcohol in the garden, vandalism, things like that. When it comes to seniors or people who can't pay for their plots because they need a bit more time, we are definitely very flexible and we work with them all the time. I can say that since I've been here since 2005, I don't believe I've ever evicted a senior citizen for not being able to pay for his garden plot.
Okay, that's really, really great to hear. And in terms of payment, you just mentioned that we're flexible because we know what this means for folks. We charge an annual cost. Have we done an analysis on what it would mean if we took payments more often? So it wouldn't be, we wouldn't ask for an annual fee. We could break it down to folks to a monthly fee.
So I'll jump in and answer that. We have not done that. And the reason is because currently the program is funded for 1.5 staff. And in order to take over 1,000 payments every single month, many which are in cash, would be a big strain on the staff. I mean, we can look into it, but it would take a lot of work for the staff to process that.
Yeah, I understand that, which is why I asked if an analysis had been done on that. And in the past, I've worked in programs where the annual fee seemed like a lot of money. And so we broke it down to actually every 6 months, because I understand the monthly fee was on the other side of the spectrum, where there are our costs that we incur in managing those payments. But if we reviewed payments that were more often, whether that's every 6 months instead of annually, that might, since you're already being flexible with some of those who need it, if you could include that in the report that comes back, the next one, I think that would be an opportunity to see what the impacts could be on helping folks kind of keep that payment going.
Yeah, now that you say that, it makes me think of the payment plan model that we have for camps and for some of our other programs in recreation. And maybe that's something that we could investigate, that people could choose as an option for community gardens. So we'll definitely look into that.
Thank you.
I do want to say that, our primary desire, though, would be a scholarship, because especially with water bills going up, the cost of the garden plots are going up. And so we're afraid that certain people are going to be priced out of the program.
And I didn't see a dollar amount in the report. Did I miss it? It says the funding for the program is $166,000, but I didn't see sort of an analysis, if you could include that on the scholarship. I know that we did pilot, or what we did was offer, I know this is a different department, but we offered scholarships for our swim centers, right? And after we dug into it, it really wasn't that much money, and it removed the need to have such an intensive administration of scholarships if we gave some free, or we did that analysis where some are free. and I think that would be important to moving forward, because there might be other ways to offer subsidies to this.
Thank you, Councilmember. On an annual basis, the number fluctuates a little bit here and there as it's based on water usage and how much watering is needed. And obviously that's tied into the weather. But typically, the total program cost is about $200,000 that is charged to the 1,000 gardeners. We are very, very interested, as Tori mentioned, in building out a scholarship model. I think the model that you raise for aquatics is a great one to look at. Our goal here would be to meet as much need, all the need as we can. And in the resident surveys, in the gardener survey we did recently, 75% of gardeners indicated they would meet the existing Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services scholarship qualifications. So the need may be, if we project that out, maybe as great as $150,000 that we're going to look to bridge.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's money well spent. And, you know, many of the folks, as Councilmember Carrasco mentioned, this is their recreation as well as sustenance. You know, one of the things that I've heard from folks is, you know, this is a way for them to grow the food that they eat in their culture, and that might be difficult to go and buy, or expensive, much more expensive to go and buy. And so I think that this is a fabulous program, and providing scholarships to nurture that, I think, is a good investment in our neighborhoods and our residents. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, just quickly, I just wanted to thank the team for the work on the gardens, and just celebrate in this committee that we got the newest garden just opened last Saturday in Alviso, and we had a great turnout for the opening. And I think there might even be some plots still available, but there's definitely demand. I know we saw from how many people are signing up for plots quickly, how much the community loves this program. So I look forward to continuing to find more sites to open these community gardens across the city in the years ahead. So I just want to thank the team for their work in the program.
Wonderful. Councilmember Jimenez, I don't see your hand, but thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I'm here in the room, so I
Oh, I'm
pushed
so
no,
sorry.
it's okay.
Of
I
course.
pushed the button that we typically use, but I know you don't see that.
Of course. I'm so sorry.
Angel was a little lonely, so I decided to join him up here. So just a few questions. The first one is, and I think you sort of touched on it, but do you know more or less what the cost is to opening up a new community garden? I don't know if anyone has that info, but.
So the cost can vary depending on, you know, how close a water source is. We can use an example. You know, we just opened Alviso, and it was about $80,000 to open Alviso. So depending on the number of plots, you know, we're currently in the process of looking at, you know, unused recreation turf in some of our park areas, you know, that's just kind of sitting. Nobody's really using it for anything. But that's, you know, another aspect of the program we want to look at is, you know, where else is there a need for this, and then try and raise funding for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's less expensive than I thought. Sometimes we get some estimates and they're through the roof, but this seems to be a reasonable sort of bang for your buck, if you will.
Excuse me, Councilman
Yes, please.
Jimenez, I wanted to add that what was good about Alviso Garden is that the infrastructure was there. So, you know, if you look at a piece of land where you have to bring in irrigation and fencing, then you're looking at quite a bit more.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I guess it's just going to differ just depending on where it is, and who owns it, and do you need to purchase the land, and okay. The other question I had was because I have one community garden, well, two in my district. One we inherited from District 10, but that's at the county park, Marshall Cottle Park. But say, for example, if I were to have residents that were using either of those community gardens, and they had issues with making the payments or fulfilling their obligation, monetary obligation as it relates to the usage of the plots. Would anything preclude me as a council member from funding that or offering scholarships, if you will, to some of the folks that, no?
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you. And I asked because we have some in my district, and I've always been curious about that. The other thing I was going to ask is, obviously the gardens are in many parts of the city, but I've always wondered, and I apologize if it's in the report, I don't think anyone asked about this, but is there a preference in the leasing of the plots to apartment dwellers that don't have any, as opposed to me having someone having a big backyard where you can actually plant things? Any preference given to apartment dwellers?
No, at this time, our policy just states that if you're a San Jose resident, you can participate, and it's on a first come, first served basis.
And do you think that if we wanted to go that route, if there would be, or if a certain portion, a percentage of plots were set aside for people in apartments, would anything preclude us from doing something like that as a city? I don't know if that's violating some sort of law or.
Councilmember, I'm not aware of there being anything prohibiting that, and I think that's a great idea that we can look into as we look for ways to expand the program and better meet all the needs. And like you said, one of those needs is individuals who don't have access to their own gardening spaces.
Yeah. So I, for whatever it's worth, I think it's worth exploring. I'm not sure if it's ever been brought up, but the other thing that I was curious about is to be honest with you, I've been in many community gardens, but I've never had to access them. Someone's always taking me, and I've gotten to see sort of the way it works. The sense I get, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the sense I get is that someone in the community is sort of granted a key, or are there many keys? Like if you have to 30 people to have a plot at a particular garden, do each of them have a key to the gate, or is there one sort of person that is the gatekeeper, literally?
Yeah, it's customary to have a combination lock on the gate, and we just issue the code to every person.
Okay.
You'll find a couple of instances where we need to secure the garden better, so we'll have a key, and we'll issue a key to every person in the garden.
Okay, so there shouldn't be a scenario where one person is sort of literally the gatekeeper, I guess, to the garden and.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And the other question I had was, are there, and again, I read the report, but it's a while ago, I don't know if I missed it, but is there any work going on in, I'm not sure how often all the gardens get visited, for example, and if there's any work being done to figure out if they're being kept up as they should, if there's any issues with gardens, sort of capital costs associated with a new fence, things of that nature. Do you do sort of rounds, if you will, at the different gardens?
So this is why it's so important that we have volunteers who volunteer to be part of what we call the volunteer garden management team. There are my eyes and ears out there. We have a problem with a water leak or a cut fence. They'll notify me right away, and I send out a work order to the maintenance department to get those things fixed.
So are those people that actually have plots inside that garden that serve as the eyes and ears?
Correct.
Okay. And is it, how often do those folks rotate? The reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if, say, for example, that volunteer dedicated to a particular garden, if they're maybe not visiting as frequently or not being as good as eyes and ears for you, right? I mean, I'm not sure how you would assess whether they're actually doing a good job and letting you know if there's something wrong there. But how do we go about evaluating that? Whether
I also make my site inspections once or twice a year. I'll make my rounds to the gardens, but typically we have a really good group of volunteer managers out there. Really good. When it's a 2-year term, so every couple of years the community gardeners are supposed to have elections to nominate their representatives, so to speak.
Okay. Maybe that's the person that I assume had the special key or something to these particular gardens. Maybe she's the manager that I'm thinking about. But, okay. Is there just offline, but can someone provide my office the information as it relates to the gardens in District 2 to figure out who those volunteers are, so that way we can be in better touch with them, so we can gain a sense as to what's going on in those particular gardens?
Yes, I can provide that information.
Okay, all right, thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Sure.
And I'll move the acceptance of the report. I'm not sure if that was done, but.
I'm sorry, I can't put
Okay.
it down.
All right, so let's go to the vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Arenas.
Aye.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So that moves forward. And now we're going to go to item D2, which is update on bringing everyone's strengths together, grant program requirements. And I see the team is getting themselves set up.
Chair and committee members, my name is Dave DeLong. I'm the Division Manager for Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services, Administrative Services Division. I'm joined today by Petra Reguera, who's our Program Manager over a Strategic Partnerships Unit that oversees the BEST Grant Program. And today she's going to be delivering a presentation on how we're moving forward with the BEST Triennial RFQ. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Petra.
Hi, good afternoon. Turn my mic on. Good afternoon, committee member and chair. Again, my name is Petra Reguera. I'm a program manager with our strategic partnership unit with the department. And I think we're just waiting for the PowerPoint to come up. So today I'll be providing an update on the BEST grant program request for qualification process. So as we're pulling up that presentation, as you know, the BEST grant program is the funding arm to the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force, which is newly named the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance. I know Andrea Flores-Shelton is going to be sharing more on that name change along with the strategic work plan a little later today. There we go. So every 3 years, we conduct an RFQ process for BEST to establish a qualified list of agencies. And through that list, agencies are selected and funded to serve San Jose youth and families through a variety of programs on school campuses and throughout the community. We were scheduled to release the RFQ in January of 2022. And last November, we were here at the committee and we provided an update along with plans to defer the RFQ for a release in January of 2023. And we deferred the release because we were managing a few moving pieces that would inform the process. The first one was the strategic work plan, which is now complete. And we were also working on addressing audit recommendations for the BEST grant program. And we also were addressing questions and concerns raised from this committee around oversight and accountability of the funded agencies. So they're all coming together at once, and we've made significant progress, and I'll be sharing where we're at with these items and the next steps for the RFQ. Here we go. So as we have planned to assess and address these items that I just mentioned that would potentially be changing, like measuring agency performance and assessing participant risk factors, we felt it was important to first engage our partners and get their perspective and input, because we knew implementing new processes and tools was going to impact them and how they track and report the work that they do. So we formed the partner engagement group in 21-22, and we worked with 11 of the 15 best funded agencies, and we were able to conduct 4 focus groups around how we can improve our monitoring tools and our performance measurement strategy. and how we can better assess participants' risk level. We also received general input on their experience with RFQ processes in the past. So the input of our partners was extremely helpful as we adopt new strategies and tools that will support our efforts to meet and share outcomes. And we've also continued the partner engagement group with the current cycle for 22-23. So our work and the work of our partners within the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance is driven by the strategic work plan. The work plan outlines our strategies and their objectives and key results to reduce, sorry, I think I went too far here. Just back up a little bit. There we go. And so the strategic work plan outlines the strategies and their objectives and key results to reduce youth violence. And I wanted to highlight the area in the work plan that addresses BEST specifically. In the 2023-26 strategic work plan, which includes approaches over the next 3 years around prevention, intervention, diversion, and reentry and healing. One of the objectives in the work plan under intervention was to deliver expanded youth-driven and whole family place-based strategies. So although we have been listening to and engaging youth in the work that we do and serving whole families, with this objective, we are looking to identify models and activities that address these strategies in a more structured and impactful way. For example, how can we support programs where youth are not only given a safe space to receive support and resources, but how can they also be change agents, and how can they empower other youth to be part of the solution? We're also going to look at how can we better understand barriers and support systems and whole family needs in a culturally responsive way so we can empower families to work together and support each other. And so we're currently working to incorporate this objective into the BEST RFQ scope. So the place-based strategy for BEST is the identification of opportunity neighborhoods. And opportunity neighborhoods was previously known as hotspot areas. And so just as we've done with the task force, we acknowledge that naming a neighborhood as a hotspot labeled these areas as having deficits, and we needed to shift to a more growth mindset. The selected 18 opportunity neighborhoods are spread throughout the 4 San Jose Police divisions. And you can see a version here on the PowerPoint of the map. There may be some minor changes as we finalized it for a policy team. So by utilizing this place-based strategy, it helps us to better allocate resources like street outreach intervention and case management services to areas that experience more incidents of violence and have the highest youth development needs. So with this process, for what will be the opportunity neighborhoods for the next 3 years, we collected and evaluated both qualitative and quantitative data. So for the qualitative data, we conducted an input session with the Youth Empowerment Alliance technical team, and we facilitated this by division, where each member in the division had the opportunity to share climate, experiences, observations in the different neighborhoods they served. And this input was from youth intervention staff, from BEST funded partners, schools, probation, faith-based partners, community center staff, and our other multiple partners within the technical team. And this was climate that they were seeing and experiencing in real time in the community, so it was an important factor to consider. And so next we looked at mapping out those areas that were identified by the technical team, and we prioritized them. We then added the quantitative data, which was the San Jose PD crime data, youth crime data, including gang-related data. We also added overlays of equity priority communities and healthy places index, which identify areas with a high concentration of underserved populations, including low-income households and people of color. And these are both tools that are utilized regionally and nationally to advance equity in social conditions to support our efforts to prioritize equitable community investments. So you can see the data here, which creates the heat map, and it really validated, for the most part, what the technical team members were observing out there in the community. So in looking at how we can better measure program performance in a more comprehensive way, we hired a consultant, Resource Development Associates, and gathered input from the partner engagement group around tools we are currently using and approaches agencies are using within their own agency. So with that assessment, we developed this framework that you see here on the slide that we'll begin to use in the 23-24 program cycle. We developed specific questions that will guide the method that will help us answer those questions. So you'll see that in the second column, guiding questions. To really better understand what are we trying to achieve with best services, which is ultimately reducing youth violence. So what do we want to know about services? Who are we serving? How much service is being delivered? And what data will help us understand and answer those questions? And then the third column is how will we collect the data? What is the data collection tools? So this framework offers a simplified approach for the variety of services offered through BEST and meets the current data collection capabilities. And so although we're currently working on data sharing agreements with our school partners and with probation, we are projecting to evaluate outcomes like truancy and recidivism beginning in 2024. So these are other projects that will enhance the work around program performance and agency accountability. We've developed a screener tool that will help agencies assess the risk factors that their participants are experiencing and the risk factors that we're seeing reduced through their participation in the program. We also added 2 new positions this year to our grants management team. We hired a senior analyst. We are also looking to hire an analyst, so it's been a little challenging with the recruitment, but these positions will help with the grantee oversight and accountability and school coordination. And so we've hired the senior analyst, and she started in August, and we are very close to hiring an analyst to fill those positions, so we're excited about that. We are working with Finance Department on a bid for a case management system that will allow us and our partners to better track and report on direct service to participants. So that procurement package was reviewed by the Procurement Prioritization Board back in October, and we're scheduled for release in February of 2023. So here's a high-level timeline of the RFQ process. So we're scheduled to release the application in January of 2023, and it'll be open for approximately 6 weeks. And it'll close in March of 2023. Applications will be evaluated, and then a qualified list will be determined in May. We'll then conduct interviews, and then awards will be also made in May. And then we'll begin negotiations through August, and services are scheduled to start in September of 2023. And that concludes my presentation.
To public comment, please.
Blair Beekman.
Hello? Good, it's working. Can I have the timer start over again? Awesome, thank you. Blair Beekman here. Thanks for this item. They had their last Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force of the Year a few weeks ago. And, you know, they first brought out that they're going to, they want to change the name of the program. And I think it's a pretty good name. There was youth who was there who were pretty upset with the name, and that youth empowerment is not really going to be empowering youth in our future, or this YAY program, the YAY Alliance. And it was very nicely spoken by the mayor and others that it is an aspirational name, and that with time we can work towards the youth empowerment idea, and that is the goal. The goal is to consider um, youth skills before police and law enforcement, and you guys want to work towards that. Community wants to work towards that. Good luck in your efforts in that. This seems the time to mention that during the past month, City Manager, boy, why can't I? He's sitting right in front of me, and I can't. Angel Rios, I'm sorry. City Manager Rios, very nicely brought out. They're coming up with ideas of how to develop language skills, language set of skills for work jobs in the future, and to have that access to language issues is important. And I think that has to be a cautious way to address that. And it's part of this practices that I hope we consider more than just law enforcement. Thank you.
Matthew Tinsley.
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Matthew Tinsley and I'm the director of the Strong Start Initiative at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marianne Dewan, we would like to thank the city for the opportunity to participate in the Bringing Everyone's Strengths Together grant program oversight and accountability effort. We have been active partners in the RFQ redesign process and in the development of the new performance measurement framework. We would like to take this opportunity to reiterate our support for a process that provides funding at the school district rather than the individual school level. This would allow for greater flexibility and effectiveness in the deployment of resources, ensuring the greatest positive programmatic impact within specific schools and opportunity neighborhoods. We also encourage the city to design the RFQ to support funding for organizations that provide behavioral health services consistent with youth preferences for treatment models other than talk therapy. Youth consistently report that they are more likely to access these services because they believe them to be less stigmatizing. Finally, we ask the city to address the ongoing lack of pro-social, healthy, supervised activities out of school time, where the middle and high school age students can be safe and engaged. We look forward to our continued work together. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Wonderful, thank you. I don't see any hands raised, but I also, oh, there we go. Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you. I was just having some technical issues. So thank you for the report, and I will, I'll get to the point on the name change and opening it up to all youth violence. I have heard, as I'm sure my colleagues have, from community advocates, particularly advocates that have a background in work with gangs, that they are concerned that this best programming is and funding is being diverted from that. I, like many of you, I have been around a long time, and BEST has always covered a lot of different areas, but its aim was to prevent and intervene on gang violence. So can you address those concerns?
Thank you, Councilmember Esparza. This is Andrea Flores-Shelton, Deputy Director, and I'm also here with Mario Maciel, Division Manager, supporting Petra and Dave. Regarding the dilution concern, first, we just want to share that that the focus or the broadening of the focus on from gang violence to youth violence does not at all take away from our commitment to continuing our funding, our operations, and our services related to preventing and intervening in gang violence, and our commitment to our youth related, again, to our operations, as specifically when it comes to BEST, the street outreach services. Frankly, we are looking to see how we can strengthen that area of best as we look at our eligible services and funding opportunities. So we understand that this kind of shift after many decades, change is hard and change can lead to some questions and uncertainty. And so we want to assure the council as well as our community partners that our commitment to gang intervention services and funding does not diminish, and we're not looking to reduce it. We're looking to strengthen it as well as do more if possible.
Thank you. That's really important, and I think a lot of the work that we've done in the past couple of years on equity, and there were some comments earlier about showing a map of redlined areas of San Jose, and we all know the neighborhoods that need extra love, right? We do, and we know that that's by design. The fact is that there are a lot of factors that go into violence, poverty, not the least of which is poverty, but there are a lot of other factors. And if we really mean to help and uplift kids and families and neighborhoods, they're going to need a lot more resources and a variety of resources. As long as we don't cut and we add, to the gang prevention and intervention resources that are unfortunately needed, but they are truly life-saving and life-changing work. I'm happy to move to accept this report.
Second.
And before I go away, I really want to thank you, Petra. I'd like to thank the whole team. Shout out to Petra, who has done a tremendous amount of work on this. Andrea Flores Shelton, who came in to lead a lot of this work. And Angel Rios, of course, always for your leadership and history. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of people, but I just wanted to acknowledge that because taking this extra time is really trying to lead us to do more of what we really need to be doing, to provide that accountability and that support, but in the end, to really, really change lives. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to add to that. It's been a bit of a process getting through this and coming to this point where we have these objectives and key results from a work plan. So congratulations, everyone. I'm also concerned that we don't diminish the attention for the gang involved youth, as that has always been the focus of our intervention services, and it's very unique type of support that the city has been providing for many years. And so I think it's a skill set in terms of being able to interact with our youth in a way that honors them and also supports them. And so I look forward to seeing what this 2.0 version will be. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. If we can take a vote, please.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we're going to move on to item D3, and I believe we have an update on this, correct, Angel?
Yes, Chair Dennis, Angel Rios, Deputy City Manager, and members of the committee. We are going to recommend deferral of this next item to the December NSC agenda. We did have an internal glitch here in that we inadvertently did not attach the strategic plan document to the memo. So if acceptable, we'd like to recommend deferral to next month, and it would require a vote if you accept.
Wonderful, thank you. Can I get a deferral?
Move to
Motion?
defer.
Second.
Wonderful. Let's take a vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So this takes us to item D4, and this is City Initiatives Roadmap. The education
I'm so
and
sorry, Councilmember Arenas. We did have a public commenter for D3.
oh,
I
excuse
skipped right
me.
over that.
Oh, I apologize. With the
That
deferral.
was my bad. Blair
No, no,
Beekman.
no.
Hi, guys. Thanks a lot. Blair Beekman here. Thanks a lot for acknowledging public comment for a deferral item. I think it's the first time at this committee meeting, so it deserves public comment. Thank you. I wanted to offer that first a thank you for the words and the questions of Councilperson Esparza, who I really helped clarify the issue a lot and how to treat best practices as compared to what item 3 will be working towards. And I wanted to note at the last meeting of the Gang Prevention Task Force, it was probably the last meeting for many, it seemed to have more of a focus on law enforcement issues when, learning how to speak to our youth and our community better practices is, it should be pretty regular. I mean, it is fairly regular in Gang Prevention Task Force meetings, but it wasn't at this last meeting. And they ended it on a law enforcement note instead of ending it on a community note. And that was a bit disappointing to myself. Like I was trying to say earlier, Angel Rios, city manager, is working on really interesting ideas about future programs in how to engage our certain neighborhoods, and he wants to use, he's figuring language issues is an important step in that. I think this is an issue we've been addressing for 20, 30 years now, that as we are considering these practices, we will also have to be respectful and sensitive to native language and the importance of native languages and learning as a community process, that we don't necessarily have to be in an English-only world. To me, that's an important concept to develop and considering in a very delicate subject that you're thinking about at this time. Good luck in community efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the committee.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do we have to go back to reconsider?
No, we do not.
Okay. Wonderful. So then we are moving on to City Initiatives Roadmap, Education and Digital Literacy. I see our folks coming down. This is their annual report. Welcome, everyone. And I see it's our library department ready to go.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Vidya Kilambi, Division Manager with the library, and I'm very excited to present the annual update of the Education and Digital Literacy Strategy. Next slide. Just a little bit of background, the EDL strategy was approved by Council on May 7, 2018, and is organized around the following strategic action areas of early education, learning by grade level proficiency, pathways to post-academic success, digital literacy, and policy and governance. The implementation of the strategy is grounded in our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, including a commitment to quality assessment, data collection, and analysis of program effectiveness and impact. Next slide. In year 3 of the implementation of the quality standards, PRNS and the library utilized the early education assessment tool to evaluate its early education programming in each of the 8 early education quality standards area. The assessment guided PRNS staff in developing a quality improvement plan, and they used the progress monitoring tool and phonological awareness literacy screening to assess children's literacy development through pre and post assessments. Based on the assessment results, library staff made infrastructural and programmatic changes and implemented best practices, which resulted in a 0.7-point increase in quality. Next slide. In fall 2021, the library's early education team conducted an early education community assessment, and this environmental scan reassessed assets and needs and sought to capture strengths and aspirations of the communities that we serve. The findings will be used to inform the early education unit's programming and work plan in order to provide more targeted, representative, and equitable services for and with the community. Next slide. In fiscal 22-23, PRNS is continuing its partnership with First 5 to provide seeds training and evaluation support, and PRNS is providing in-person San Jose recreational programs at all 13 community centers in 19 classrooms. Using a combination of information from Year 3 Early Education Quality Standards and the Early Education Community Assessment, the library has identified priority projects to review and adjust during Year 4 of the implementation of the quality standards. Next slide. Moving on to our focus on expanded learning. In fiscal year 21-22, PRNS operated 31 out-of-school time programs serving more than 1,200 youth. They help to eliminate any barriers to access for ROC after school by providing eligible families a full scholarship through the Community Development Block Grant funding. Next slide. PRNS provided summer programming for over 2,200 youth in San Jose during the summer through the Camp San Jose, Fit Camp, and Camp San Jose Junior. To increase access to these programs, PRNS combined both the Department Scholarship and American Rescue Plan funds, and eligible families received a partial or full scholarship. Next slide. During the fall 2021 and spring 2022 semesters, 3,500 students participated in 336 sessions of the library's virtual homework club programming. In fiscal 21-22, the library utilized the youth program quality standards to assess virtual homework club programs. The overall score was 73 out of a possible 85, with categories like safe and supportive environment, warm welcome, and quality staff scoring very high. Moving on to SJ Learns, more than 1,300 students participated in SJ Learns funded programming across 7 education agencies. In summer 2021, 2 districts provided learning opportunities with grant funds, serving a total of 210 students. Next slide. In fall 2022, Virtual Homework Club transitioned to in-person programs at library location and utilized the city's expanded learning quality standards. Homework Club centers at Alum Rock, Biblioteca Latinoamericana, Educational Park, Evergreen, Hillview, Joyce, Ellington, King, Tully, and West Valley are staffed by members of the Resilience Corps, a jobs program for young adults that focuses on critical areas of community resilience, specifically accelerating K-12 learning. PRNS will continue to focus on the expanded learning quality standards for 22-23, with an added focus on Standard 6, equity, diversity, and inclusion. The library will continue to work with an external evaluator and leverage a newly formalized partnership with DataZone to evaluate and better understand the impact of the SJ Learns grant program. And in addition to the normal grant application cycle in fall 2022, SJ Learns will also be managing a special funding opportunity to expand or enhance services in 22-23 for existing grantees. Next slide. I will now invite Samantha Kramer to present.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Samantha Kramer, and I'm the Education and Programming Services Manager with the library. I will be highlighting work in the areas of college and career readiness, digital literacy, and overall EDL governance and policy. Fiscal year 21-22 highlights from the area of college and career readiness include the hiring of a new career pathways coordinator, increased teen participation and volunteerism, and the piloting of the college and career readiness standards. Turning to San Jose Aspires, the program expanded to over 1,100 students, launched an app on Google Play and Apple, and hosted 11 events that helped students in the program learn about career options from employees of our many corporate partners. Looking ahead to our current fiscal year, staff are focusing on building awareness around college and career readiness pathways for San Jose residents, including identifying metrics for success, building on existing partnerships, and expanding the use of college and career readiness standards. More program-specific goals include awarding 40 scholarships for career online high school and connecting over 120 family, friend, and neighborhood caregivers to additional resources and learning opportunities. More details on the area of college and career readiness will be presented separately later today. Turning to digital literacy, in spring of 2022, the library administered the digital literacy quality standards for the second time. The digital literacy classes scored well in the areas of technology and access, privacy and security, and staffing. Overall, the digital literacy classes scored an average of 2.07 out of a possible 3. These programs are firmly in the emerging category, leaving space for these programs to create a quality improvement plan and increase scores in certain areas. The area of curriculum and teaching practices was identified as a focus, with an emphasis on deepening the existing curricula with take-home practice exercises for participants. As an annual rather than an ongoing program, the Coding Summer Camp program is currently being evaluated and quality improvement plans being created to be implemented as we begin planning for our summer 2023 programs. In January of 2023, the digital literacy class cohort will meet again to check in on their progress towards the improvement plans. And in May 2023, a final assessment will be made for the fiscal year. Through our continuing Coding 5K program, the library is committed to providing opportunities for coding experiences to students across the city, and especially those in underrepresented neighborhoods and students identifying as girls or young women. As you can see on the slide, fiscal year 21-22 saw 3,953 students participate in coding and robotics programs, with 49% of all students self-identifying as girls. 6 of our 8 summer coding camps also transitioned back to in-person instruction for the first time since summer 2019. 7 certified K-12 teachers returned to assist us in leading, either through a weekly Zoom or in-person class, or through a learn-as-you-go asynchronous online system available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Overall, 1,821 learners completed the program. Moving on to policy and governance, the School City Collaborative was hosted in late October to review past and upcoming work plan priorities. This work continues to increase K-12 student access to library cards and promote print and electronic resources that support student learning. The joint school library card program will also be continued in the current fiscal year, increasing student access to many of our resources. For our work on equity, diversity, and inclusion, the quality standards were approved by Council in February. This is the city's first framework to assess our educational programs' efforts to center and advance equity. This fiscal year, we will reconvene the ad hoc committee to complete a toolbox of core equity, diversity, and inclusion concepts for staff capacity building. We will also pilot quality assessments of select programs. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time, and we are very happy to take your questions.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks a lot for this item. I'm just learning more and more, where the ideas of tech accountability and openness and in these sort of issues and bridging the digital divide can fit in to these really good practices and in bridging the digital divide. That was a lot to say for myself. In bridging the digital divide, just where does tech accountability fit into that process? And I hope that And with the data collection, I mean, this is some of like the very best work it looks like you can do in what is the future of data collection. And I hope it's these sort of practices that, you know, other parts of civic innovation and staff can rely on. I mean, it seems like, you know, these are the great examples. And hopefully my tech accountability practices that I work on can be great examples for kids as well. And I think it's an important part of how they will learn responsibility in the future. And you know, what can be their good practices for a community. So that's what this item seems to be going for, and you're doing it really well, it seems like. So good luck in these efforts, and good luck to an important future, that it's not just tech, and it's not just placing a bunch of tech in local neighborhoods. There's a whole series of things, and this is one of them. And I hope that the practices of having good practices in placing tech in the future of local neighborhoods gets just as much respect. And it can be worked out. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. And that's the trick. That's the trick of innovation. That's how you talk about innovation, is how you develop good rapport with the community so it can be a trust.
Thank you. Lisa Larona.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Lisa Larona, and I'm an Assistant Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Marianne Dewan, we would like to express our gratitude to the city for investing resources, access, and quality programs for students and families. The City of San Jose has historically run extended day programs for youth. School districts have the challenge to provide extended days for students utilizing Extended Learning Opportunity Program funds. As a county-wide lead of technical assistance to school districts, I am observing districts are challenged to create extended day and summer opportunities. A partnership with the city's programs to provide extended school days and a summer program for TK through 6th grade students would be ideal. Thank you.
Melinda.
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Melinda Snavely, and I am the Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. The Santa Clara County Office of Education is in the process of supporting our local school districts with expanding their support of 4-year-olds in our community through expanded transitional kindergarten programs and working with community programs to provide universal pre-K. Over the next few months and years, as UPK is implemented, there'll be a robust number of slots for 4-year-olds to access early learning programs in the city of San Jose. I'd like to encourage the city of San Jose to begin to think about how you might want to pivot your planning and programs to increase the number of children ages 0 to 3 that can be served in your programs. The Santa Clara County Office of Education would be excited to serve as a thought partner with the city and to explore how this might be possible to increase the opportunities that you offer to children 0 to 3. Thank you.
Matthew.
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Matthew Tinsley, and I'm the Director of the Strong Start Initiative at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Superintendent of Schools, I wanted to express our thanks to the city for your ongoing investment in improving quality and access in your early learning and after schools programs. This work will ensure the efficacy of these programs in building academic, social, emotional, and executive function skills, all tools that we know are essential for school readiness and success. Moving forwards, as my colleagues have described, we would like you to consider the impact of 2 new educational programs from the state that will affect your education initiatives. The expansion of transitional kindergarten means that almost half of 4-year-olds are now eligible to enroll in TK this year, and all 4-year-olds will be eligible by 2025-26. This means that your recreational preschool programs will need to adapt to enrolling younger children, more 3-year-olds, and perhaps even younger than 3. Second, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program means that the school districts in San Jose will be looking to partner with after-school and summer learning providers to provide opportunities for low-income children in transitional kindergarten through 6th grade. The SCCOE is ready to provide technical assistance and partnership so that more children have access to the city's quality early learning and after-school programs. Thank you.
Veronica?
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Veronica Garza, and I'm an Assistant Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. As the expansion of universal pre-kindergarten continues within the state of California, families are learning more about the mixed delivery system and as a result are asking many questions about where to enroll in one or multiple quality programs to ensure that they have a full 9 hours of care per day for their young children. The Santa Clara County Office of Education has created a centralized space via enrollsantaclara.org that can allow families to access multilingual information about high-quality programs in Santa Clara County. The Child Care Resource and Referral Program, also housed in the Santa Clara County Office of Education, is also available to support families in their search for care. And so we would like to recommend that the City of San Jose offer multilingual flyers about these resources within their city programs to ensure that families and staff have access to information about where to enroll in programs that equal a full day of care or 9 hours. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. I don't see any hands unless Councilmember Jimenez is raising them in person. So I will begin.
Yeah, I didn't have my hand raised, but now that you call on me, I'll ask a question.
There we go.
Yeah. So let me just first acknowledge, and maybe it's me, but there's a lot of information and a lot of number in the report, and so my question may or may not make sense, and the answer may be very apparent, and I just don't see it. But so, for example, if you go to page 14, because I'm just obviously the goal of much of what the city does, especially around the just in the report, the digital inclusion fund or the digital equity and literacy sort of work. I know on page 14 it sort of goes down the list. Table 1, I think, touches on digital inclusion fund learners, the percentage of breakdown of kids that are Latino, Latina, Vietnamese, Asian, non-white or white, things of that nature. And so those percentages, are those percentages strictly for the digital inclusion fund, or I'm trying to just disaggregate sort of what I should sort of place that, I should align that with as it relates to some of the information you shared. Is that for the coding 5K, or is that, I'm trying to understand the numbers, I guess.
Yes, thank you for the question. The breakdown that I think you're referring to in the memo is particularly around the Digital Inclusion Fund learners.
And the Digital Inclusion Fund, I mean, we have the Coding 5K Challenge, the Coding 5K Summer Camp Series, and then also the synchronous learning, asynchronous learning. So those are all distinct sort of buckets of work, if you will, or?
The Digital Inclusion Fund grant program includes the asynchronous and the synchronous learners. That's a series that either folks can do, as we said, through the online program that we use on the website, or they can attend either the in-person or the Zoom classes. Those learners are adults, and so that is one bucket of work. The Coding 5K and the summer camps are a separate bucket of work that still fall under the umbrella of digital literacy.
Okay, so the numbers then on table 1 on page 14, for example, what should I attribute that percentage to? Which program? Is it the whole thing, or is it one particular sort of line of work, if you will, in this space?
Yes, those fall under the library's Digital Inclusion Fund adult programming for digital literacy learners. So that is solely for the programs that are funded through the Inclusion Fund.
Okay, all right. And say, and again, maybe I missed it, but say, for example, if you look at some of the percentages that are on there, right? Vietnamese, 38.57%, Latino, Hispanic, 20% or so. We don't know, because the target of these is, of some of the work that we're doing is certainly to target some of these underrepresented populations that typically don't have access to some of the programming, things of that nature. Is it, so I appreciate the percentages as it relates to ethnicity and race and such. Do we have a sense as to whether those are in parts of the city that we think naturally, certain zip code census tracts that would naturally sort of do well by getting this exposure, right? And I'll just throw this out there. So as an example, right, I would see it uniquely different if, for example, I'm just making this up, right? So don't take it literally, but say the Latino Hispanics, if that 20% came from the small portion of Latino Hispanic students in Almaden Valley as opposed to East San Jose, right? Those are uniquely same sort of, ethnicity, race, but I think we generally know that those kids, even though they're same ethnicities, race, they may have different opportunities. And so I'm trying to figure out if there's a further breakdown as to these percentages as it relates to the different parts of the city. I know that's a lot, so.
Hi, I'll just jump in. Hi, Councilmember Jill Bourne, City Librarian. I just want to just help out with Samantha and the team because it is a little confusing. The Digital Inclusion Fund, as you know, is a citywide program, and we also come to you to present on that citywide. This is really, the library was a grantee to the original Digital Inclusion Fund. So we were implementing programs for adults across the city. So there is also a zip code breakdown that we could provide so that you could see that. As you recall, we had the plan to implement the Digital Inclusion Fund programs, and then we had the pandemic hit. And so the actual implementation aligned very much with some of the other work we did. So I think if you like, we could bring back the zip code representation, but there really is alignment with the areas of the city that were most impacted by COVID because we're working with similar partners in similar parts of the city. So, while there may be participation across the city, it's definitely aligned with the priorities around the equity index, income disparity, impacts of COVID, and underconnected or unconnected households.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just, there's just always a lot in your reports, which is wonderful, but there's a lot to digest and a lot of numbers and pieces of different programs and such. So oftentimes it's just challenging I'll speak for myself, and understanding the different layers of all the great work that you're doing. So if you think it's valuable and other council members express support for getting a further breakdown, or maybe it's in another report, then feel free to do so. But it was just a comment and just wanted to further clarify in my mind sort of what these meant. But thank you for all the work. I appreciate it. And I'll move approval of the report.
Second.
I would just add, it's a valid point because, and I think part of the reason it's included, as you recall, when we first started the EDL work, it was the first time that we were really committing to reporting on race as outcomes for our programs, to really be tracking who in our community is receiving the services. So I think that this is a continuation of that. So it's a valid point.
And I'll just frame it this way as well. So my kids, I was born in Mexico. My kids speak Spanish. My kids they would fall under that category, right? But we don't necessarily need those resources. They have outlets to do some of this stuff, right? And so I wouldn't necessarily want, a lot of this funding going towards families that maybe already have the ability to do some of this, right? I think that it should be in places that maybe don't have the accessibility to some of this technology. So that's sort of what I'm getting at, is that there's some folks, even though they fall in the category, they may not necessarily need the assistance, if you will. But thank you.
Great, thank you. Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I think I got frozen on my end. I apologize. Did we get a motion?
Yeah, there was a motion,
Okay.
Councilmember Arenas.
So sorry about that. Thank you so much. I just have a couple of questions. Thank you, council member. I'm wondering along the same track that Councilmember Jimenez was asking about, and I know that we've had this conversation in the past about some of the camps, the coding camps. And I did notice a breakdown of the folks who were, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to that page. And I lost it, of course. Oh, for the Digital Inclusion Fund, I know that there is that most participants were 38% Vietnamese speaking. Latinx or Latino Latina is 20%. Asian that is non-Vietnamese was 9%. And so that indicates a bit of that demographic, of course. And I'm wondering, how are we ensuring that there is an equal or more of an additional support for those who are Latino or Latinas, so that they can have an increased participation in these programs? So what kind of outreach, what kind of strategy are we using to engage them more?
Good afternoon, Council Member. My name is Carla Alvarez, and I'm a Community Program Administrator at the library. Thank you so much for your question. And to follow up on both of the lines of questions, within the library system, we have Family Learning Center coordinators. They are located in the branches, 9 locations where we notice there are higher socioeconomic disparities across the city. And so those full-time coordinators are actually the ones that are leading the majority of our digital literacy classes. And so what they do is provide on-site support. They get them connected and understanding, first of all, what their digital inclusion needs are. So first of all, making sure, do they have connectivity? Do they have devices? And if not, making sure that they're provided with those devices through their library membership, and so that they have those resources at home. And then the classes are also taught by our staff that are multilingual. And so we offer the classes entirely either in Spanish or in Vietnamese or in English. And they are small cohorts to be able to provide that one-on-one support. And we actually do also offer follow-up one-on-one tech support by appointment and through established hours across many of our branches. And that is an additional opportunity for people to continue to refine their skills and be able to receive one-on-one support beyond what is covered in the 8-hour curriculum that we do cover.
I love the breakdown. Thank you so much for taking me through that. But my question still stands in terms of what kind of additional engagement strategies are we using to pull in more Latinos and Latinas into our programs?
And so for the outreach, part of what the literacy program specialists, the Family Learning Center coordinators do is engage with our local nonprofits in all of these neighborhoods and making sure that we are promoting the flyers and throughout our programs, that we are engaging with our local partners, CBOs, especially those that are serving the Latino community, the Vietnamese community, and making sure that we are getting the word out to them of these opportunities, and also collaborating with the other Digital Inclusion Fund nonprofits and making sure that we're getting the word out about the opportunities that they also offer through the funds that they've received.
Yeah, if we continue to, well, this is wonderful. I'm just concerned that if we continue to use the same sources, that we'll continue to have the same kind of participation. And so I would really love to encourage you to connect with a lot of the Title I schools that surround the libraries, of course. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we're challenged with in the Evergreen School District is that we don't really have a lot of service providers connected to our schools in the way that maybe Franklin McKinley School District does, or Alum Rock School District does, or San Jose Unified does. And so they don't really know that our children are struggling because Evergreen School District is, most people assume that people are doing very well, or students are doing well. And half of our schools are Title I schools. So I'm concerned that if we continue to use the traditional ways of engaging folks, that we will continue to bring in the same number of or same type of demographic. And so I'd love to see how we could really step outside of what we're already doing to engage. And for me, I'm particularly interested in District 8 and in Evergreen, because I know we have a lot of Latinos who are living in District 8 and are attending Title I schools and do not get pulled into a lot of the digital inclusion efforts. And so I'd love to see how we can potentially change that.
Chair Dennis, Angel Rios, Deputy City Manager. What I would add to what Carla and staff have referenced is also the fact that we're folding this work into our Children and Youth Master Plan effort. And as you know, that has a citywide focus with an emphasis on high need vulnerable communities. And so as we link this work to that effort, I think we'll get to what you're asking for, which is making sure that we, and what Councilmember Jimenez asked for previously, is making sure that we're reaching those children and youth that are in greatest need, and making sure that we address this from a digital equity perspective. And so I think that's going to assist in getting to that end goal.
Yes, actually, that's one of my follow-up questions, Angel. I was going to ask, how does this intersect? So thank you so much for actually answering that. I think that is the
Councilmember,
only.
if I could just add one more thing that I
Sure.
just remembered. We are very fortunate also to be able to include the promotores with the city of San Jose. And so that they are heavily promoting the digital literacy and digital inclusion initiatives that we have through the library as they're out and promoting and attending different community events. So that is actually a very a positive and additional team that is supporting and spreading the word to new communities.
Wonderful. And are they receiving training themselves so that they could engage the families with what the classes and what to expect? Like, your kiddo could learn how to, do such and such thing.
There were various departments that did deliver presentations about the key opportunities that were offered and that they're promoted as part of their onboarding process.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we should have our promotores always kind of sample what we provide for our families, so that way they can really speak as true participants. I'm going to move on to San Jose Aspires. And I was wondering, are we tracking the kind of the academic and career trajectory of those students?
Yes, Councilmember Jill Bourne, City Librarian. We are actually with Aspires. What's exciting is that, as you know, we started with a pilot group of students who were seniors and they had a limited award. And so we have tracked, what that small cohort has done. But with the ongoing program, we actually were able to onboard younger grades of students. And so I believe this next year is our first full cohort of students who started as sophomores, and then next year we'll have our full cohort that started as freshmen.
Oh, I
So
love
this year, we'll start to see, what's the full award they receive, and then what do they do in their post high school education, and how effective that work has been.
Oh, that's amazing. Wonderful, wonderful. And are you doing the same with the online high school program?
Yes, we support the Career Online High School, and it's very exciting that I think year on year the San Jose Public Library, you can all boast about this, has the highest graduation rate of any library in California. Who has
We
the
will
program.
boast about that for sure, Jill.
And so we just had our first in-person graduation post pandemic, so we're very excited about that. And
Oh, congrats.
next time we schedule one, you'll all have to come. It's a tearjerker for sure. And I know many of you have attended in the past and been incredibly supportive, especially during the pandemic when we had to hold them online. And so just wanted to appreciate you all for that, especially Councilmembers Arenas and Councilmember Esparza. You've been such a huge supporter of the program. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for making it possible for our youth to continue to be involved in their education and achieve that diploma at the very end. So I heard that there was 25 students that graduated, and so congratulations, and congratulations for being most notable in the state in terms of graduation rate. So that's wonderful. I think for me that was it. Council member Esparza.
Thank you. I wanted to just sort of add my 2 cents to Councilmember Jimenez's request to understand better geographically where kids are coming from. And we are working with Alum Rock, Campbell Unified, Evergreen Elementary, Franklin McKinley, Luther Burbank, Mount Pleasant, and Rocket Ship, correct? Hello?
I'm sorry, Councilmember. For which program are you referring to?
Well, so I know that there's a variety of programs, but here's what I'm getting at. Let me just get to the point. The point is that we are working with the school districts where the need is highest. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. And I think also having the overlays to understand sort of geographically who comes where. I also wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Arenas' comments about Evergreen Elementary. There are a number of schools in there, particularly K.R. Smith and O.B. Whaley are sort of geographically more isolated from a lot of other resources. And so I'm happy to see that we are partnering with Evergreen Elementary as well. I just wanted to make a comment too. It's interesting being a council member because I have four really school districts or K through the young ones in my district. And so as I go to them, I can see how some are utilizing programs more than others. How are we sort of selling this to some of the school districts?
Yes, Councilmember, and I think I apologize. I think you're talking about the SJ Learns program, and it is a unique program in that it is a application-based program for schools and districts. We put out a call, and then they apply to partner with the city for a grant fund, and then in return, there is a program for students to excel in school after school. And then there's a lot of reporting that they do to us. So we're able to see the real impact of the program, which is great. It has moved around to different districts. But I think that what we have heard back, and Evergreen's a good example, and I know Councilmember Arenas was involved in some of these correspondence, is that it does require a commitment from the school and perhaps capacity that they're sometimes concerned they cannot provide to do the program. So especially during the pandemic, through communications with them to understand what the capacity gaps were, we have been able to make some changes to the program to allow for more engagement, for schools to be involved in different ways, and for us to provide supports. And so I think it's good for us to always get feedback about schools who may be interested, who are thinking that they can't participate, because we definitely can work with them to help them provide this program to their students.
Okay, thank you. And I wanted to also give a shout out to the library staff for attending all the back to schools, and because I was out there with them and they were pitching the homework clubs and at Seven Trees and around Tully. So I think it's great to see more engagement. And I also wanted to just make a request, which is we have a lot of different programming, particularly on some of the STEM programming. It's really important to do the camps, for example, to offer that ongoing learning versus like a one-time episodic learning where you come in from one day or you do it for, you know, a summer or I think that for kids that really need it, right? The kids that we're trying to reach need that much more. And so I just wanted to make the pitch for that. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have a motion and a second, so
Councilmember Onidas, can I just ask a quick question?
absolutely.
So what I was curious about, the folks that are completing the career online high school, which I think is wonderful, are we tracking if any of those folks actually go off to college and go to junior college? And I think that'd be cool to see, to the extent you want to include that.
It's a great point. So we are, now that we've actually, my staff was just reminding me, we just passed our 150th graduate.
Wonderful.
So we're very excited. And part of, you know, getting their accredited high school diploma, they also receive a career certificate in a high demand field, including childcare, including, you know, office support, things like that. And so we're starting to try to knit together our graduates and see, you know, what are they doing with that certificate? Where have they gone with their high school diploma? And, you know, are they continuing with other programs that the city provides as well? So that will be actually part of our next report, the College and Career Readiness report that we're going to do in a few minutes. Yeah.
Wonderful. And to take it a step further, I'd be curious as well, maybe over the you know, longer sort of longitudinal sort of study of this program, is if any of those folks end up maybe applying for city jobs that are available, right? I know we have vacancies in various departments, and I'm wondering if there's a natural transition there at some point in which the city, which helped them get the diploma, can also help them secure a job, you know, in a department. So thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, we're ready for a vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we are moving on to item D5. We still have 2 more items on our agenda. So the next one is D5, and it's City Initiatives Roadmap. This is the College and Career Readiness Status Report.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Jill Bourne, City Librarian. And today we're very excited to be here to provide an update on the College and Career Readiness Program. Now, over the past couple of years, this committee has engaged in many substantive discussions about improving college and career outcomes for our residents and ensuring that our city programs are impactful and make a real difference. The Neighborhood Services and Education Committee recommended that the City Council adopt the College and Career Readiness Program quality standards, which they did, and those were developed in collaboration with many city departments and community partners in the fields of education and workforce development. Now, from the program quality standards, the committee directed staff to develop a logic model that documents our approaches and intended changes or outcomes across city programs, which has been presented to the committee. And then from that critical point, we're also able to create a new position, the College and Career Pathways Coordinator, to lead the next phase of developing out our pathways approach for implementing the logic model and the standards across city programs and with our partners. And so with that, I'm very pleased to be able to introduce our team today. We have Elizabeth, or Lizzie Nolan, who is a senior librarian who oversees children and youth services, and our new community programs administrator for College and Career Pathways, Amanda Oddie, and I'll turn it over to them.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Jill said, today we will review the College and Career Readiness Programs, quality standards, performance metrics, and pathways coordination. Next slide.
Oh, you have to do it.
Oh, I do. My bad. Thank you. The next one for that. First up are program highlights. SJ Aspires grew to over 1,000 students at our partner schools, San Jose High School and Overfeld High School. Those students claimed over 5,500 awards, which translates into a little over than less than $500,000 of scholar dollars. Teens Reach, the youth council for the library, provides an entryway for youth to build their leadership skills by developing and participating in activities, as well as becoming library advisors and advocates. 571 unduplicated teens spent 2,135 hours participating in this program. To better understand citywide needs, TeenHQ coordinated with the Youth Commission to conduct a survey of teen demographics and priorities in early spring 2022. More than 1,000 youth responded to the survey from grades 6 through 12, representing all 10 council districts, more than 29 zip codes, and 110 schools. 40% of respondents identified as first generation, and 20% of teen surveys described themselves as part of the LGBTQIA+/queer community. Teens expressed high interest in mental health, the environment, and equity resources. Many teens use the open response format to share specific and really heartfelt feelings about teenagehood shaped by a global pandemic. Career Online High School continues to grow, and we are now at 150 graduates, as Jill said earlier, from this program that started in 2016. This August was our first in-person graduation ceremony since COVID-19 shutdown, and our 7th graduation overall. In addition, 3 students who graduated from Career Online High School have also graduated from or are still completing the Working Scholars program. Working Scholars allows individuals to earn their college diploma, and funding for students was provided by the California State Library and the San Jose Public Library Foundation. One of the 3 students in the program has graduated. A second student recently enrolled at Thomas Edison University to finish their last year of studies and receive their diploma, and a third is still working through the first 90 credits of this program. Next slide. SJPL Works focused on strengthening their community partnerships and reached over 1,500 participants. Teen interns at the library's TeenHQ received over 300 hours of work experience in social media. Work to Future and San Jose Works provided 374 subsidized internships and over 250 unsubsidized internships at public, nonprofit, and corporate partners. The Family, Friend, and Neighbor, or FFN, Caregiver Support Network contributes to a stronger community and early childhood education workforce by connecting caregivers to resources and learning opportunities. During this fiscal year, this program connected 106 FFN caregivers to learning and workforce development opportunities, a peer community, and a range of resources. Collectively, the participants achieved more than 3,200 professional development hours. The Resilience Course Learning Pathway joined the California for All Youth Jobs Corps program in 2022. This program connected 61 participants with employment. The program's goal is to connect unemployed and underemployed young adults with living wage employment and work experience opportunities, specifically in expanded learning and after-school homework help and tutoring programs. Collectively, the program participants have over 7,000 hours of service. Looking ahead, here are the college and career plans for growth this fiscal year. I'm now going to pass it on to Amanda.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Amanda Addy, the College and Career Pathways Coordinator, and I'll be walking us through the rest of the CCR update. During the last fiscal year, library staff led a pilot of the CCR standards and assessment tool adopted by City Council in December 2021. 3 library programs used the self-assessment tool: Career Online High School, the Family, Friend, and Neighbor Caregiver Support Network, and San Jose Aspires. Results of these assessments are included as attachment C in the memo. This year, we're implementing an action plan to evaluate 2 additional system-wide programs, Resilience Corps and SJPL Works. The CCR logic model is labeled Equity in Action because we want to ensure all programs are designed and evaluated to provide high-quality opportunities to under-resourced communities and communities of color. The logic model is broken down into 4 categories: inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes. The inputs are the resources city departments put into the programs. The activities are the opportunities the city provides to youth and young adults. The outputs are the products of and services connected to the activities, and the outcomes are the desired results and impact of the combined efforts. Over time, each individual program or department will articulate their own program-specific performance metrics and outcomes aligned to this model. This slide spotlights the program-specific outcomes for the SJ Aspires program, which can serve as an example for other programs in how it articulates short, medium, and long-term results. Some things we'd like to highlight here are plans to expand the program to serve more students over time and to develop career pathway partnerships as students enrolled in the program begin to graduate and pursue their career goals. The SJ Works team has also articulated program-specific outcomes. Under workforce development, you can see how short-term goals to expand the number of opportunities per year connect with a long-term goal to expand the length of programs. Another long-term outcome is to evaluate program success based on whether participants graduate high school and pursue post-secondary education or other career opportunities. We'll now turn our attention to coordination efforts. Following the CCR annual update in November 2021, this committee directed staff to identify specific actions that would close gaps in the system, strengthen collaboration across city programs and departments, and enhance coordination with external partners. Staff shared a plan for articulating these actions in a presentation to Council in March 2022. Which focused on recommended allocation of community benefit funds connected to Google's Downtown West development project. Recommendations included funding for a college and career pathways coordinator. The hiring process was completed in July 2022, which is when I started in the position. Over the next 3 years, my main focus will be to support interdepartmental teams to cohere around a citywide strategy that clearly articulates how we support young people and adults on pathways to college and career. My position is housed within the Education and Digital Literacy Division of the library, and I work collaboratively with staff throughout multiple city departments. Through the coordination efforts, we hope to improve education and employment outcomes for San Jose's youth, with particular attention to how we can increase participation by historically underserved populations in post-high school education and training programs, internships, apprenticeships, and jobs that lead to long-term careers in fields that provide a living wage in Silicon Valley. We also aim to demonstrate improved program outcomes through reports to this committee. The development process for the college and career strategy will be integrated with the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. We will also ensure objectives and key results are aligned with the strategic plan guiding the work of the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance, formerly known as the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force. Together, we will identify specific performance metrics with aligned assessment and reporting methods for all city college and career programs. This work will rely on ongoing partnerships with the Santa Clara County Office of Education and San Jose Schools through the School City Collaborative and other outreach efforts, as well as community-based organizations with expertise in the service area. We will design the college and career strategy and its implementation plan with, and not just for, the young people it will aim to serve. And in so doing, we hope to elevate the voices of youth who would benefit most from the services our city has to offer, grounding all decisions in a commitment to center their lived experience. We will be taking a page out of a book by Susie Wise, a personal mentor, to design for belonging and do our part to build a workforce that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Thank you very much for your time. We're here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
A comment, please.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks a lot for this item. This is a good learning experience for myself, how local government can help the community process. This is interesting stuff, and interesting that how it connects with the items on today's agenda. This everything seems to work together really well today. So thank you for that. This is I wish this was the sort of work that the mayor's gang prevention task force talked about a bit more at their last meeting, and this is the sort of work that does that. And I think what complements what Angel Rijos has been mentioning about these sort of programs as well. This better explains, I think, what he wants to be doing. And that I think I guess it's the idea that can address, people who are in, you know, initially red line communities as well as, people who are in better communities. And that isn't said very well, but better communities. Well, people who have means and people who don't quite have means. And I wonder if this is ways to invite basically all parts of a community to work towards their what will be their work future, and for this to be open, accessible, and understandable to young people. Good luck in those efforts. I really needed the help in these sort of matters in my youth that I've never quite gotten, that I'm trying to learn now for the very first time. And so, thank you. And yeah, good luck how it can be a more accessible process for our youth to understand these good practices. Thank you.
Melinda?
Good afternoon, Chair Lenas, council members and staff. My name is Melinda Snavely, and I'm the Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the Santa Clara County Office of Education and many of our early learning partners, we'd like to express our appreciation for your commitment to supporting the development of early care workforce through your career online high school and inclusion of a pathway for participants to earn a child care and education certificate that enables graduates to accept roles as a teacher assistant, daycare worker, or child care worker. Right now in the city of San Jose, we are facing an extreme shortage of staff in this area. As recently as this morning, I was speaking with a local child care center, and they shared that they have funding to serve an additional 50 children, but lack staff to fill those positions. I'd like to encourage you to expand the delivery and marketing of your career online high school program for your child care and education certificate to help mitigate the workforce issues facing our city, enable as many children and youth as possible to access the high quality programs already available to our residents. Thank you.
Matthew?
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Matthew Tinsley, and I'm the director of the Strong Start Initiative at the SCCOE. I want to express our thanks to the city and to the San Jose Public Library for their award-winning work to support early learning professionals in the city through the Family, Friends, and Neighbors Caregiver Support Network. The pandemic has taught us that childcare workers are essential workers. FFN caregivers are a vital and under-supported part of the childcare landscape. The city's FFN Caregiver Support Network provides individualized professional learning, peer support, and resources to over 100 caregivers, improving the quality of care for hundreds of children in our city. Many of these providers are taking community college courses or working towards becoming licensed providers by subsequently enrolling in the County Office of Education's Child Care Initiative project. Even before the pandemic, there was a critical lack of childcare access in the city, with many parents, typically mothers, forced to cut back or even leave work to care for their children. Programs like the FFN Caregiver Support Network help to address that unmet need for early learning professionals. We strongly encourage the city to expand this program so that the growing waitlist of providers interested in participating can be cleared and as many children as possible can get the high quality care that they deserve. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. Seeing that there are no hands, I'm going to start with a couple of questions. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you so much for the report and for sharing so much of what you've done for our community, for our youth, and then, of course, for this workforce that we see missing just in about every field. Particularly, I heard loud and clear that, and even before, of course, these comments, we've been discussing regionally how we are going to prepare for our preschool for all efforts that are coming our way. And I'm just absolutely impressed with the FFN caregiver program. I read that there was, I think, 13 folks that completed at least one class, and I think there was more that completed a couple of college units. Can you go over that? How, I know that there was a partnership with Mission College, but is this kind of on a, how are we setting these folks up to really receive their accreditation or their licensing, versus maybe just testing the waters, because it's, yeah, sometimes as an adult it's hard to go back to school and get back into that swing of things. How are we supporting folks to stay within the program?
Yes, thank you for the question, Councilmember Chair Reyna. I think that the numbers were, there are 13 participants that completed 3 college units, but 21 have completed at least 6. And then I think that the answer to your question is really that the team continues to work with each provider or each participant on their specific needs. And I think that is, I think if our coordinator was not able to be here today, but she would say that that is one of the reasons why the program requires such a high touch, is that almost every single participant has a different set of life circumstances surrounding them. And so the program really does try to, scaffold that person with support, both from the libraries program, but also with many of our amazing providers to help them get through the process of getting whether it's the degree that they'd like to have, if it's to, to transition their home daycare into a licensed daycare, everything from helping them, fund the, I think there was a fence that needed to be fixed in one site because in order to make it licensable. So really they're doing a full wraparound support for these individuals in the program.
How wonderful. How wonderful. How do you anticipate this fitting into the larger picture of childcare for our area? Are we mostly focused on facilitating home childcare provider licensing or creating that path for that, or are we helping feed the workforce, the lack of workforce that is in the I'm sorry, in the preschool realm?
I think the answer is really in the partnerships that we have, and that it's this program intends to be part of the larger ecosystem. And so in some cases, again, the participants may wish to enter into the workforce around childcare. In other cases, it may be a different outcome for them. But the recognizing that this program exists in a larger context, and that's where we're hoping that both the College and Career project, this whole Pathways project, is one element of the larger Children and Youth Master Plan that is really intended to recognize that we have partners who may pick up some of the participants and take them farther on their journey, and that and really making it available to them to be able to pursue all the different options that both the city departments and our partners can provide them. And that's been a real challenge for our residents, to be able to know everything that's available and have that really warm handoff between programs. So I know that, I don't know if our deputy city manager wants to say anything, but I think that we have the Children Youth Master Plan we're hoping is the ultimate structure, and then these other plans can feed into that.
I mean, I think we're also, as a city, we're also an option for a career in our PRNS department, right? I know that there's callers in the other items. I heard them express their concern about how our recreation preschool is going to shift now that there's going to be other programs available, and will we start much younger? And that way we're not, I'm going to guess, compete with for the same kiddos. Although for me, I think that there's not only, I think there's always an issue with preschool programs that end in 3 hours and that are half time, such as ours, because it's privileged, or it's really only allowed for parents who have a very flexible schedule, who can, drop off at 9, pick up at 12. And we've spoken about maybe shifting how we provide our services to our community, so that we can create like a whole day of care versus a half day, and then parents have to come and grab them and take them to a childcare provider or elsewhere. Angel, do you want to comment on how we're making that pivot?
Yeah, Chair, and I think that's really the beauty of this approach here that really came out of the direction from this committee, to really take a look at trying to apply kind of that no wrong door approach, and really consolidating and inventorying all the different programs that we have that lead to college and or a career pathway, and doing it in a way where we make it as seamless as possible. There's been a lot of interdepartment coordination. There's a logic model that has been developed around this. Quick shout out to Adrian McBride from the library as well, who's led a lot of the internal kind of inventory work with other departments, Parks and Rec, and other departments as well. And the whole goal being is really trying to be clear, first and foremost, amongst ourselves around what's available, and then two, to facilitate access by the community to these programs into educational advancement, and ultimately career opportunities, starting with the city of San Jose, right? And then looking at the county, looking at the nonprofit sector, looking at Silicon Valley. For many in our community, Silicon Valley might as well be 2,000 miles away, right? And so in a lot of ways, this work is just getting warmed up. And again, this also is work that will continue to infuse and inform the Children and Youth Master Plan as we go forward. So I think a lot of good progress, and yet a lot of more work that still needs to be done. But yeah, as Jill and the team mentioned, that's really the focus, is to get us all on the same page to make this easier for San Jose residents.
Well, one of the ways that I think is the easiest way to facilitate childcare for our families is on site at the schools, just like we do for our ROC programs. Our staff actually kind of pick up the kids, they group them, or the teachers group them, and then the ROC members go and pick them up on site there, take them to a classroom where they can be in and study and have crafts and games and things of that sort. I know that we haven't really discussed maybe bringing some of what we do for recreation preschool on site, but I would love to have us have that discussion, so that we can potentially serve some of the families that aren't privileged enough to have flexible schedules, or to be stay-at-home moms or dads, and can't pick up their kiddo in 3 hours. And so really providing a whole full day of childcare and early learning without stepping off the campus. Is that something that potentially could be part of also the discussion?
I think what we could do is take that feedback and also incorporate that into this work that we're doing, both by this team, as well as the work that we're doing with the Children and Youth Master Plan. I know the whole kind of the whole TK pivot is going to be pretty significant, right? I mean, I think we're going to have to really revisit. Actually, it's being done now. The way we currently provide preschool options, given that a lot of these resources are being school-based, right? So yeah, we definitely will take this feedback and incorporate it and explore, see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I'd love for us to continue to offer opportunities for our families to have safe places for our kiddos to go. As you know, it's not getting any easier out there with work, and people have multiple jobs and are um, just overextended in homes and private homes and close quarters. And so the more that we can offer our families, the better. What is the relationship between the FFN support network and the Grail Family Service funded program?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the two programs have some overlap and have partnered a lot in terms of talking about how to support the participants. I think the Grail program, as you know, is highly sort of geographically focused in a way, and the FFM program is citywide. And so we are working together to do an alignment of the two programs, as well as other programs that similarly support adults who want to be trained as caregivers, and to look and see where there are overlaps and ways that we can build each other's capacities going forward. So we have an ongoing partnership, and we're looking at strengthening that in the next year through some potential shared programs.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, those are my questions. I'm not sure if anybody else.
I have questions, Councilmember.
Oh, so sorry,
That's
Councilmember
okay.
Hernandez.
It's okay. You can't.
I
I'll
can't
raise my
see
hand.
that far. I really can't see that far.
I just had a few questions. So for example, on the item, there's some attachments. I was hoping that you can sort of help me understand how to read and interpret the attachment B, college and career readiness program quality standards. And we can, as an example, we could just look at San Jose Aspires, right? And then not bet, beginning, emerging, advanced point. So I'm trying to understand sort of how to interpret that, or how to determine whether, like, I guess part of what I'm trying to understand is this is used to try to interpret the effectiveness of San Jose Aspires under a particular quality standard, and yeah.
I can answer from a high level, maybe
Yeah,
that will
please do.
suffice, and
Yeah.
then the team can certainly give more information. So at the high level, the program quality standards, what we do is we have, they're developed through a cross-departmental and with many expert partners in the field. Council has adopted them, and then we take them back, and not every standard applies to every program, certainly. So what we do is for each team who oversees a specific city program, they take the quality standards framework and they start to say which standards does our program relate to, and then how can we demonstrate through our program that we are adhering to that standard. What are the outcomes that we're pushing towards according to the logic model, and then what is that outcome metric, and then how can we measure toward that metric. So the first year after we've adopted standards, because as you know, it's been kind of a 2-year process of adopting all the standards. We started with early education and then expanded learning, digital literacy, and then college and career was the last one. So the first year is really helping programs understand how the standards apply to your work. Most programs are already doing a lot of the great work, and it's just hard to see it that way. And then they start to develop out their plan of how they're going to adhere to the standards. And then we bring back those reports to this committee. So like the last report you just saw, that's why there were all those tables and things, because some of the areas have already been doing the assessments according to the standards, and they can see how well we're adhering. So with college and career, as Amanda had shown, there's only a few programs that have started that work, probably a handful. But this next 3, and then this next year, we're going to be expanding it to more programs, and our hope is to then expand it to even more programs cross-departmentally as well, and to work with those teams to be able to report back.
So for example, like the first, I am having trouble sort of digesting everything, but I understand what you're saying. So for example, on attachment B, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but let's just look at San Jose Aspires, right? And if you just go all the way down to the right, it's quality standard 1, right, for technology and access, which is simple to understand. I get that. Aspires had 14 points out of 24. That's 58%. So I'm just making this up, but let's just assume that was, 20%. Would that then suggest to you all, like, okay, San Jose Aspires as it relates to quality standard 1, technology and access, we're not doing well? Is that sort of the gist of it, or?
So, and we try not to frame it that way,
Well,
but no, I think it's a
right.
really important point. And I think that this is somewhat incomplete for you because what's behind this is a full definition of the program has already defined what beginning means for a program, what emerging means, and what advanced means. So what we've tried to as a city is say that we are going to have all our programs come up to at least the level of emerging. Yeah, the second level, right? We want everything to be at least the basic, right, which is the beginning, and then hopefully getting to advanced. And so this is an honest measurement of the program, right? And so in different areas, you'll see that we've got a 1 or 2 or a 3, which means we're going to focus our next year work plan on improving that area.
Okay, all right.
So there's a lot of back-end documentation to this, and so perhaps this isn't as useful. Maybe we should provide all of that next time, but
yeah, I guess that's so I appreciate you saying that. Part of the challenge I have is, being up here, and this happens with a wide variety of departments and programs. We see some of the same stuff, and we approved something like a year or 2 ago, and I can't remember what I had for lunch. And so the challenge then is like when I see this, I'm like, well, how do you use this, right? And what should I do? How should I use this to interpret whether this is working or not, if you will, right? And so the reason I was asking, I gave you that example, and I know I probably framed it, that maybe we need to improve, we're not doing something right or anything like that.
I think it's the exact point,
Yeah.
is that we don't want programs to feel like they're going to be
Correct.
told they're not doing it right,
Yeah.
but it's sort of like by starting with quality, we all want to be moving honestly towards more effective outcomes.
Correct.
And so what this tells us is that this is the very first year, is
Right.
now we understand where we need to improve.
Yeah, and I see nothing that jumps out at me, but I guess I'm trying to understand in the future when this comes forward. If it has more information, great, more context, great. But I guess the underlying thought for me is like, how does Jill know when a percentage hits a level that she's concerned and she's trying to figure out why I'm just making this up, why San Jose Aspires quality standard 1, why they're not reaching that percentage that she desires, right? Or
So what I'll take from this is that when you see that percentage or the outcome for 1 year, is that then the next action plan addresses the areas where we need to improve. And sometimes the improvement isn't our staff or our program. It's like we're not reaching, and as was mentioned earlier, maybe there's a community partner that we need to be working with more or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So the next action plan should address that, and then we should see improvement year on year. And I think that's really, when we took on this education work, we said this is not a short game. This is a long game, right?
Yeah.
But as long as we're seeing that improvement and we hear back and we know that the program is helping people, then we're going to keep working on it.
Right, and then so for example, I think it's on slide 3, where it touches on workforce readiness programming fiscal year 21 to 22, right? So we're looking retrospectively, looking at. So I have a question about also just an example, right? Because I want to moving forward, I want to make sure I understand this a little bit better. And part of the other thing that happens, to be very honest with you, is that I think, as you can hear from some of the questions by Councilmember Arena, she's been taking the lead on many of this. And so oftentimes, I'll speak for myself, she asks a lot of wonderful questions, and I know is digging deep in a lot of these topics, and I take it, she's gotten a promotion, so I take it for granted that, she's asking those critical questions, and she's not going to be here very much longer. And so I think it's incumbent upon us someone to grab that torch and figure out a lot of what's happening. And so as an example, on this particular slide, you get San Jose Aspires, again, just to pick on San Jose Aspires. On the left-hand side, I'm trying to think about how to interpret this, right? So 2021, 2022, San Jose Aspires is a program that theoretically, I guess, or is supposed to go from 9th grade to graduation, right? So it isn't all seniors, it isn't all freshmen. So the 1,190 students, that was the number of students served at those high schools for 2021, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then so 5,500 awards claimed, which is easy to understand, scholarship awards. So the students in college, that's one of the things that, so that, how do I interpret that?
That is from the previous cohort.
Okay,
So the pilot cohort that
right,
we did a couple of rounds of the seniors,
okay.
and they could receive up to a smaller dollar value as part of the pilot, up to $500.
Okay, but do we
And
know?
so we are continuing to track the kids. as
Yeah,
we've gone
okay,
on,
all
yeah.
right. Just because I was thinking about, okay, how many students are participating in the program and how many are going to college, right?
Yeah,
And I was
I
thinking,
think
okay, is looking at this number of students in that college, that's like 7.5%, which is not very good. But I knew I wasn't doing it correctly.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
trying to wrap my head around how to best evaluate
Yeah.
whether what we're doing is succeeding.
And part of the issue is there's so many programs, and this we tried to be very brief, and
Yeah.
so that everything we're giving you sort of
No.
highlights. But so we totally welcome the questions and can do briefings or deep
Yeah.
dive on any one of these programs.
And that leads me into my last question. And I suspect you're probably not asked this too often. I don't know, but let me just ask you this. You all are doing a lot. I found that sometimes when I try to do too much, things start, I'm not maybe being as effective at A and B if I'm doing A, B through Z, right? And so I know, and I know oftentimes some of this comes from direction from council, ideas, the mayor, whatever, right? All these different avenues by which it lands on your lap. Do you feel, can you take on more? Are you doing, and I'm talking about the library department. And I don't think, I suspect you can't, but I don't know. But
No, I think that your question is valid because one of the things that we've said through this process is that when you're willing to pilot new things, you have to be willing to say when something doesn't work, or maybe when it, it moves on to something else, or, maybe it graduates into the community or something. So
Right.
we are definitely always looking at that at our own capacity and trying to measure the programs for that in that way. And when you work in partnership, that, that's a thing too, where maybe a partner can take something on. I would say that I think you might see in some of these areas the way I think the library's role in some cases is really, although we're up here presenting, it's really for sake of like brevity. So hopefully, was that
And-
really this is cross-departmental work. This is library PRNS, Work to Future, lots of different partners. And so our role is really to sort of help them go through the quality standards, help them with the reporting, and help with the reporting back to council. We're not implementing all the programs. So
Right.
you are hearing about a lot of our programs today, but a lot of the work that Amanda's going to do, for instance, they're not all library programs.
Okay, so let me ask you a question this way. So if we say you're at 0%, well, you have as much capacity as you can. You can take on anything that gets thrown at you. And zero being you have as much capacity in the world. You can take on anything. 100 being you're at capacity. Where would you put the library department as it relates to all these programs and the capacity at which you're?
My entire department is listening right now.
Yeah.
Are you offering me a
One of them gave me
promotion,
this
council
question, by
member?
the way. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. That is a very big question because as the other thing is this is our education and digital literacy team who are amazing and they work with amazing partners across the city. But as you know, we have 25 locations, we have service teams, we purchase and circulate millions of items to the community every day. So we have a lot of different lines of operation, right? I would say in our education work, we were kind of having the conversation about whether we can take on more large programs without like graduating others.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if I could quantify it. 80%.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Is that good?
You're doing a lot. Let's just
Thank you.
And with that, what I would just say is that I hope that you're honest with us when any of us come up with ideas on how to stack more on top of what you're already doing without having graduate some of those programs and create capacities, because I think that's very important. I sometimes get frustrated as a council member that there's just much of what the city does and all the departments, especially your department, does is super important. But I think, I think we need to do things properly and correct and be successful at things before we start launching off, spinning off new initiatives and things of that nature. And so that's just my general feeling about everything we do at the city. Like, we need to get the basics correct. And so I hope that going forward that you won't hesitate to let us know if, maybe you're going to graduate some of these programs or you're at capacity or things of that nature, right? Because a lot of this, there's millions of things we can do, all that are good things, but we don't have the capacity to do that. And so I would lean on you going forward that if you think that you're at capacity, to let us know. And be very upfront about that, because I think that's going to be helpful in us making decisions and continuing to or not pushing different departments, including yours, to do different things. And so I just wanted to say that. But we appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
And council member, one of the things that Angel mentioned earlier is the Child and Youth Master Plan. And that master plan is really going to lay out a continuum of services. And it's basically, we are kind of reorganizing, if you will. One, to meet and to uphold the Children's Bill of Rights, but also to be a complete continuum of care for our children and our youth. Now, we don't have to have every segment of that continuum. We don't have to provide the service for every part of the continuum, but we have to, I think, identify the partners who do, so that we can do right by our youth and hand them over to the next program that can help them, right? So if we can get them to maybe graduate from high school, what then, right? Who do we hand them off to? Or if we are graduating them from recreation preschool, where are we connecting them to? And how are those parents staying connected to the community? So the Children and Youth Master Plan does have an element of cradle to career. And this is, I think you'll enjoy seeing this master plan unfold, because it'll be back to basics. It'll be we're going back to our basics to create just the foundation of what we provide for our children and our youth. But we're not going to provide every service. We are going to make sure that we work with the other systems, and Angel and Jill and Laura have all been working with the county and with other service providers. And I encourage you to join the advisory. It is the advisory.
That's
group.
correct. The Children and Youth Master Plan Community Advisory Work Group. Yeah.
I
Long
knew it
name.
was a mouthful. I knew it was
It's
a
a long name.
mouthful. I wasn't even going
We
to
like long
try to
names.
attempt to say that. But this is where all kinds of different folks who are interested in supporting our youth are having these kinds of conversations about how to coordinate among our systems, so that so our children, our families, they can receive the services seamlessly, and that there's no wrong door, and that there's more of a guarantee that they will be handed over or facilitated or entered into a program that makes sense for them after they finish with whatever service or program they look to us to provide. So anyways, I just wanted to provide that little bit, because I think it's a really exciting time, I think for all of us at the city, especially in these departments that have a lot to do with our children and our families. And I just want to say I'm not gone yet. I'm still here, council member. So we will work together to make sure that we all have a really good transition. All right, so do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Awesome, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen, Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco, Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we are coming to our very last item, and this is D6. This is City Initiatives Roadmap, American Rescue Plan, ARP. This is what we'll be referring to as ARP, Spending Plan for American Rescue plan funding for children and youth focused programs and services. And if you all remember, this is the funding that we all approved back in November of last year. And it's, I think, roughly 10.5 million. So I'm excited to hear your update and your presentation.
Good afternoon, council members. Laura Buzo, Assistant to the City Manager in the City Manager's Office. Thank you for having us this afternoon. And yes, as you mentioned, we are going to provide you a status update on the ARP spending plan that was approved by City Council. And just to give a brief background and context on this item, the City of San Jose, like many other municipalities, received ARP funding to support and move communities, families, and children most impacted by the pandemic towards economic recovery and improved health outcomes. This is time limited and one-time funding to invest in critical programs and services for children and youth. On April 26th, the City Council approved the spending plan for $10.5 million of the ARP funds. The spending plan was informed by the following: the Mayor's March budget message, fiscal year 22-23. And in the interest of time, I won't go through all of these, but the spending plan was informed by community stakeholders, council members, families, city departments, and other community stakeholders. Too far on the screen here. Okay. So through an inclusive and collaborative approach, the spending plan was developed to address and respond to the critical, urgent, and emerging needs of children, youth, and their families, particularly those most impacted by the pandemic. Furthermore, and equally important, is that throughout the development, implementation, and the evaluation of the ARP-funded programs, staff will ensure that there is ongoing alignment with the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. The priority focus areas of the program and services to be supported by the ARP funds addressed academic recovery and achievement, mental, physical health, nutrition, well-being, as well as STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math programs, positive peer-to-peer and adult-child relationships, and community building. You will hear from both Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services and the library on their accomplishments and impact to date. And so with that, I'd like to hand it over to Hal Spangenberg.
Thank you, Laura, and good afternoon, council members and members of the public. My name is Hal Spangenberg, and I'm the Division Manager for Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services, specifically for our Recreation Division. This slide illustrates the increase in scholarship distribution due to increased funding through a variety of resources and sources through the pandemic. Prior to COVID, in fiscal year 18-19, PRNS distributed $885,000 annually in scholarship funding. We have seen that number greatly increase through the use of CDGB, CRF funds, and now with ARP funding. That total will reach more than $3 million in fiscal year 22-23. What is also important to note, prior to this additional funding, families had to pay 25% of program fees, but with this increased funding, qualified families now receive scholarships that eliminate all the fees and has greatly helped in reducing the cost barriers to accessing youth programs and services for families most in need. Next slide, please. This slide is a snapshot of scholarship enrollments in 3 summer camps that are offered citywide. During the summer of 2022, the additional ARP funding not only allowed for scholarships at 100%, but also increased the number of youth on scholarships. Without the ARP funding, families would have been responsible for $164,000 and an additional 5,184 enrollments that amounted to $844,000 in program fees and scholarship support would have not been supported. Next slide, please. ARP funding has been utilized to increase program participation and scholarship support in neighborhoods that have been greatly impacted by COVID and have had economic barriers to services. The increase can be seen throughout many areas such as Roosevelt, Seven Trees, and Welch Park. These next two slides will show the impact at Mayfair Community Center. During the summer of 2019, camps were at near capacity, reaching 142 youth that were on a scholarship that paid 75% of program fees. During the summer of 2022, with the assistance of ARP funds, we were able to operate the summer camp at Mayfair at capacity, serving 173 youth. Next slide, please. An important note is that all 173 youth that received a scholarship, and it covered 100% of the program fees, which resulted in a 41% increase in scholarship funding, as illustrated here, from $89,000 to $153,000 at Mayfair Community Center. Next slide, please. This map illustrates the top 8 zip codes that have benefited from the increased ARP scholarship support. Next slide, please. This is a bar graph displaying zip codes from the previous map and the amount of unduplicated youth that received a scholarship. As you can see, the Mayfair area, 95166, has 162 unduplicated youth that has received a scholarship assistance through ARP. Next slide. During the summer of 2022, PRNS was able to return most of our programs and increase capacity and participation. Camp San Jose Junior, Fit Camp, and Teen Centers operated from June through August, offering 47 weekly camps and serving nearly 10,000 youth. Recreational swim was operated at 4 pools throughout the summer at no cost to participants and also served nearly 10,000 youth. Our Neighborhood Center Partner Program utilized ARP funding to host 2 special community events at Gardner Community Center that was attended by 315 people, and 1 event at Alvisa Youth Center with 269 community members in attendance. Next slide. Our school year programs have also seen an increase in enrollment and access due to ARP funding. Our out-of-school time programming, such as the Rock After School, Youth, and Teen Centers, are operating at 39 sites across the city, serving over 1,500 youth. San Jose Recreation Preschool is operating at 13 sites, Monday through Thursday, serving 247 youth. One statistic that I would like to highlight is that in previous years, PRNS had limited access to scholarships for our Rock After School program, typically distributing only $80,000 to families and only covering 30% of those fees. ARP has allowed us to greatly increase access in that program, and during the first 2 weeks alone of registration, we were able to distribute nearly $900,000 of scholarship funding to families in need of after-school programming. Next slide. The impact of the ARP funding has been seen citywide, specifically in opportunity neighborhoods throughout our city. We have numerous parent testimonials that show the impact of these programs, but I would like to share one from a single mother of 3 who stated the following. If we didn't have scholarships, it's hard for our family to join the camp. So when we have the scholarship, we feel very, very good. The scholarships are important for our family, really, really important, because I am a single mom with 3 kids and I can't afford it. If this kind of program didn't exist, I cannot work. So that's why I'm working, because this program is here. I'd like to hand it over to Vidya.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Vidya Kilambi, Division Manager with the library. And the library's program expansion and enhancement proposals are centered around education in alignment with our education and digital literacy strategy. This year, SJPL partnered with 13 family resource centers, 9 Camp San Jose sites through PRNS, and dozens of other childcare and family daycare centers throughout the city, and reached over 50 childcare centers and nearly 2,000 children between the ages of 0 to 5 for the early education summer learning program. Additionally, the library presented our new preschool readiness program, Give Me 5, this summer at 9 library branch locations. In fall 2022, the library hosted a series of programs by Eric Hazlett, celebrating Black voices, and Catherine Otoshi, celebrating Asian Pacific Islander voices at 5 library branch locations. Next slide. As of September 2022, the library staff have been planning and developing the 2023 winter reading and the 2023 summer learning programs, identifying partners, choosing books in a variety of titles and characters, and reading levels. We just concluded our Halloween Booktacular program and gave away more than 5,000 books at our library branches. Library staff selected and purchased more than 7,000 diverse and bilingual titles featuring a variety of genres, characters, and reading levels, and connected with local schools. And as of October 2022, more than 30 classrooms not previously served have received 3,000 books in the school districts listed on that slide: Alum Rock, Union, Berryessa, Evergreen, Oak Grove, San Jose Unified, and Eastside Union High School District. Our staff are also planning and scheduling enrichment programs, including the monthly distribution of STEM kits. Programs will include art activities to teach children about local indigenous cultures, visits from wild animals astronomy and aerospace presentations, and magic shows, among others. Launched in 2015, SJ Learns provides local education agencies with resources to increase the number of students experiencing multiple challenges, the opportunity to attend high-quality expanded learning programs. As of September 2022, staff have identified current eligible grantees in good standing to receive the ARP funds, and all funds will be encumbered by December of this year. The library was allocated funding to support programming, which includes college prep classes with study smart tutors, as well as career panels and mental health programs in partnership with community stakeholders and service providers. Next slide. The SJ Learns Advisory Committee met and approved 3 awards: Alpha to Alpha Public Schools, Elevate Tutoring, and Santa Clara County Office of Education as part of the SJ Learns tutoring expansion. And this included a total of $342,000, and if outcomes are met and grantees remain in good standing, the total requested funds will be awarded in spring 2023. The remaining more than $900,000 will be awarded or granted in spring 23 as well. Next slide. This is a map that highlights the library programs held over the summer and in the fall through the ARP funds. The green the green represents the summer learning at early education sites. The gold icon represents the educator bundles that were given away at certain school districts. Purple highlights the Gimme 5 programs at our library branches, and red includes the bridge libraries where we had programming this summer and fall. And with that, I hand this presentation over to Laura.
Thank you. And here we have the expanded programs and enhancements that we included in the spending plan. And so currently city staff are in contract development with the Eastside Education Initiative, Silicon Valley Education Foundation. We're also in the process of contract development around providing social, emotional, and physical health screenings, and then also on the citywide community and family support grants. And then lastly, on the last item, city staff are also partnering with Santa Clara County Executive's Office, and other departments and community stakeholders. We have started the work of developing a coordinated single system of support that was referenced earlier with a no wrong door entry for families, children, and youth. And so we've started this work in leveraging the work that the county has been doing over CAST, the Cross-Agency Services Team. So next steps, as we've mentioned, the Children Youth Services Master Plan is currently in development, and we are working closely across the city with different departments as well as community stakeholders to identify policies, programming, and funding recommendations for the unallocated balance of the $719,000. We're also developing a vision and strategic approach to ensure that all children and youth have equitable access to pathways and appropriate supports from cradle to career to ensure positive life outcomes. And we will continue with program planning and implementation throughout the academic year, and staff will provide status report to the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee in June. And then lastly, just wanted to leave you with a summary of what you heard. So as you can see, we've had pretty extensive community reach, serving over 589 participants through our summer special events. We also engage in very targeted outreach with our Project Hope communities, ensuring that families in those areas had increased access to the scholarships and to the enrollment process. The distribution of over 3,000 books to 30 classrooms that previously didn't have access to that. We have served an increase of 438 youth through our after-school programs, and over 2,700 library program participants have been engaged. And then overall this year, we have 1.2 million that have been funded for the academic year. And overall program expansion, primarily through some of our neighborhood center partner programs that previously didn't have the resources and support, we've been able to increase programming in those areas. We've also increased programming through the Roosevelt Roller Rink. As you heard, also expansion of rock programs at other community centers that previously didn't have rock programs, and then the expansion of San Jose Learns Tutoring. And that concludes the end of our presentation. We're here for any questions.
Thank you. We're going to move to public comment.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks a lot for this item. To try to clarify a few of my words from a previous public comment a few items back, you know, good luck how you can include what I think are real important civil protection ideas and civic lessons of open, accountable technology practices into this work you're talking about here today. I can't emphasize enough that it's those kind of ideals and ideas that I think is a real important part of this whole meeting today about how to build our future community and what can be our good values for our kids and what they want to be respecting and learning about and understanding. I mean, our technology future is really important, and for kids to have a good grasp on their civil protections, their civil rights concepts around the future of technology and the responsibility that we all have in the future of tech. I think that's hopeful, and I think we can do it in a really good, positive way. It shouldn't be practices that are hidden and kept secretive for only a few to understand. I think it can be a real full community engagement process that invites ourselves that we care and that we're building a future that's open and trusting and peaceful and not warlike. And it's those kind of things in mind that I hope those kind of ideas about the future of openness and accountability can be addressed within these good practices you're doing here and all of the practices of the items today. Thank you.
Matthew.
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. I'm Matthew Tinsley, the Director of the Strong Start Initiative at the County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Superintendent of Schools, I wanted to express our thanks to the city for your equity-focused approach to using the ARP funds to increase access to recreation, enrichment, and learning opportunities for children and youth living in centrist tracts that have significant concentrations of underserved populations. As the city continues its implementation of funded supports and continues how best to use the remaining resources, we encourage you to include supports for children under the age of 4 who aren't eligible for transitional kindergarten, the expanded learning opportunities program, and many of the city's existing recreational preschool programs. Most of the city is a childcare desert for this younger population. We also suggest that you consider how to serve children from families making above the income threshold for subsidized childcare and ELOP. There are many families in San Jose in this missing middle who do not qualify for subsidized programs, but for whom childcare and after-school programs are unaffordable. SCCOE has proudly partnered with the city's PRNS and library staff in many of these investments, and we look forward to continuing our joint efforts to support childcare and families across the city. Thank you.
Melinda.
Good evening, Chair Reynes and council members and staff. My name is Melinda Snavely, and I'm the Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. On behalf of the Santa Clara County Office of Education, I'd like to thank you for your incredible investment of $10.5 million in the children and youth in our city. The financial investment that you decided to make in increasing child care program staff in your programs was much needed by the residents of our city. As shared earlier by my colleagues, Lisa Lerona and Dr. Matthew Tinsley, our local school districts, as well as our residents, recognize the quality of the programs run by the City of San Jose and know that when they partner or enroll their children and youth in the programs with the City of San Jose, they'll be receiving a safe and educational program. I'd like to encourage you to think about long-term sustainable funding to maintain the increased staffing you invested with the ARP funds. Our local school districts residents will continue to benefit well after this funding cycle from the increased staffing. Thank you.
Veronica?
Good afternoon, Chair Arenas, council members and staff. My name is Veronica Garza, and I'm an Assistant Director of Early Care and Education Initiatives at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services defines child care as affordable when it costs families no more than 7% of their household income per child. A family of 4 with 1 infant and 1 preschool-age child in need of full-time care at a licensed center would have to earn roughly $237,000 for that care to be affordable. The household median income for San Jose families is roughly $117,000. If every household in the city of San Jose consisted of 2 adults, 1 infant, and 1 preschool-age child, both requiring full-time care at a licensed center, the average family would have to pay roughly 30% of their income towards childcare. We'd like to ask that the City of San Jose consider offering scholarships to families that are above the subsidized income threshold to ensure that median income families who frequently are unable to afford the care they need for their children are given an opportunity to access the City of San Jose's high quality programs. Thank you.
Sammy?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sammy Santana, and I'm a recreation therapy intern with Ability Path. And Ability Path is an organization that works with children and adults with developmental and cognitive disabilities within Santa Clara County, all the way to the San Francisco area. I am also a current resident of San Jose and a student at San Jose State. In the memorandum on page 2, it was mentioned that this spending plan would give San Jose children and youth increased opportunities for social, emotional, and mental health, along with physical health and well-being. According to the California Department of Developmental Services, there are 4,154 children in San Jose with developmental disabilities. I think it's important for this plan to utilize the remaining funding resources to add play structures that are accessible and inclusive to parks with larger spaces. The presence of these structures would make a world of difference to children who are unable to use current park spaces. Just because a park is accessible does not mean that it is inclusive. An example of this in San Jose is Dove Park. The flat ground by the play structure allows people to access the area, but the structure itself does not allow people who need mobility devices to use it. These children deserve to have the same enrichment experiences as children without disabilities, and it is extremely important to take them into consideration instead of brushing past their needs. Regarding any future plans that affect the youth of San Jose, I urge you not to forget about the children with disabilities.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. Let me look at hands that are raised. I don't see any online. So I'm going to begin with some questions. Excuse me. I'm wondering about, there's a piece in here on the mental and physical health screenings and referrals. And this is 500,000 for mental and physical health screenings for children and youth. Well, I agree that we should do this. I wanted to figure out what the age range was, because we already have a whole system of care under First 5 for children under the age of 6, and so I'm wondering if this would be flagged for children 6 and above.
Yes, thank you, council member. Yes, we're partnering with Healthier Kids Foundation, and this will be for elementary and middle school students. And in partnership with Healthier Kids Foundation, we're actually able to leverage the investment that First Five has been making and continues to make, as well as the county. So I was able to speak directly with the staff in the county to make sure that we were leveraging and not duplicating efforts, but really being able to expand and enhance the support that they are contributing. And then, of course, with our partnership with the county and also working closely with schooling services and, of course, First Five, we're continuing to ensure that we are maintaining open communication and identifying those gaps and identifying opportunities to leverage our resources and supports.
Great. I would be very interested, and I hope the committee also would flag this or maybe include it even in their motion, to receive those updates on the health screenings and the mental health screenings. One, because I think it's good for us to keep our finger on the pulse and see what the larger picture is telling us, and that's data that we normally don't have access to. And two, if we are identifying kiddos through screenings that have mental health issues, or need support or need programming, how are we as an agency being responsive to them? And, you know, one thing is identifying that need, and then the second thing is actually providing a service or support for that kiddo. So how are we going to ensure that we don't leave them high and dry?
So in the partnership with Healthier Kids Foundation, they actually have navigators attached to their program. And so once the assessment is completed, and they do the social emotional, the physical, and the physical includes oral, vision, and hearing. If there's any identified concerns, the family is consulted, and then the navigator supports a family in identifying the referral, right? If they're going to be connected to a health insurance provider, to make sure that they have the health insurance, connected to a health provider to address the identified concern.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that because one of my kiddos had a difficult time during the pandemic, and I was, you know, we have the health insurance, and sometimes I think I'm pretty savvy, looking through and being able to identify some resources. But I'll tell you, it took us months and months to get one of my kiddos connected to therapy. And in the meantime, you know, there isn't anything in the interim for our kiddos. So I wonder, from the remaining amount that is left, and I think it's not very much, it's roughly just under $1 million, I think 700,000, is how are we being responsive to some of the things that we're finding out through some of these screenings? And I don't necessarily mean the medical piece of it, because I think there's a whole system for that. But when there's kiddos who have mental health issues or who are being impacted social and emotionally, I think that there needs to be something in between while they get a permanent therapist, while they get connected to a home visitor, while they, something that we can offer. And I know that I've mentioned this before. I think that there's a potential to have maybe on-site school link services, or a segment of that school link services, which is the Triple P parenting program that I know that we are hoping to launch off in the Evergreen School District. But I think that we don't have to have the answer and we don't have to be that support system for those kiddos. But if our system is helping identify them, I think that we also have a responsibility of providing a bit of a safety net while they get connected. So what is it that we can do with maybe school link services that could help maybe just alleviate some of that weight?
You're absolutely right. And what we're actually hearing from health providers, and this was brought up in the Community Economic Recovery Task Force. Some of the clinical staff and health clinic providers have mentioned that one big issue is a decreasing amount of mental health professionals available, right? And so there are extended lines and wait lists for families and children and youth to receive the service. And I'm glad that you mentioned School Link services, because we actually have engaged with them over the last couple of months. Again, as we think about this single system of support and coordinating this safety net of services for families, we want to make sure that we understand what are those resources and supports, because we know that families aren't going to be able to easily access some of these health services, as an example. So we have had conversations with schooling services as well as the County Office of Education around their wellness centers. And as you know, they're also expanding those. And those two programs are working pretty closely, as well as the health and hospital system staff. And so we're part of those conversations. They have expressed commitment to work with us to continue to support families and to leverage our mutual resources and support so that we can create this safety net across our different entities and departments.
Yeah, listen, I know that it's a lot to answer for. We're certainly not completely responsible for this, but I think if we are funding an agency to help us identify some of the issues kiddos are having, either medically or social emotionally, then I think we also are accountable to them for support services. And I know that you know this because you just finished telling me how you're going to go about that and be rather creative. In the meantime, I know that a lot of different systems have had to pivot, and I think that there's an opportunity for us to continue to pivot, especially with just some of the funding that we have remaining. Now, I know everybody is going to advocate based on what they see as the biggest need, and I look forward to seeing what those discussions look like through the advisory meetings. Because I still think that there's a lot of course, gaps that we can fill, but there's one piece that the advisory group is working on, and that's figuring out what those gaps are. And then separate from that is how are we also figuring out how we are connecting all of our programming together, especially with this ARP funding, that it's not this, solo funding, but that it's part of this comprehensive system that I know that you are working very hard, Laura, to bring into reality with the cast and with all the different players at the table. So thank you for your response. The last thing I just have, and I know I'm going over my 5-minute limit, I apologize to my colleagues. I just want to know how we are leveraging our Project Hope Youth Ambassador Program to either continue to promote classes in underserved neighborhoods, or how are we leveraging these folks?
So they have been the Project Hope and the Mirrors Gang Prevention Task Force. I know that's not their name, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's okay.
They've actually been at the table with us along the way, not only being involved as we develop the Children Youth Services Master Plan, but also again in the safety net that we are creating across city departments and with staff. They have been with us alongside, and so we've actually taken learning walks in some of these identified Project Hope communities. So yes, so we are working closely to make sure that they're also engaged, they're ambassadors, and as Hal mentioned, even just with the scholarship application process and enrollment process for the different programs. So we are making a concerted effort to really have ongoing communication and planning sessions. And we know that this is a long process, but it's something that we're committed to doing.
Yes, no, I completely hear you on that. One, we're looking at the long game here, right? But in the meantime, we have a lot of kiddos out there that need our support. And before we then pivot once again to respond to those kiddos when they're in trouble, I think we know what's coming ahead of us. And so in anticipation of that, I think we also need to make sure that we do our part in this continuum of services and care to anticipate some of that intervention, because as you all know, the dollars that come from the county are only used for when there is an issue, right? When there is an intervention that needs to happen, it's not really prevention dollars. And so we have more flexibility in our funding to be able to do that. So anyways, I know you hear me, Laura. And thank you for your response. Those are my questions, and those were my my comments. I don't see anybody else, so I'm going to ask for a motion.
I'll move approval.
And I'll second it. Okay, let's vote.
Councilmember Esparza, it just came to my attention, we're actually currently out of quorum, so I'm not sure if we can take an action on this.
Oh boy.
No, we can't take an action.
So, good God. So did people just get disconnected now, or and can we ask them to come back on, or is this?
We were connected when the presentation began, so we were still at quorum.
Mhm.
And I believe when the questions went, before you asked your question, we were still at quorum. So the presentation at least was heard at quorum. So I'm going to go to the attorney's office.
Yes, if we could get one more committee member back to vote, then we certainly could take action.
Okay. Well, let's see. I hope my team is listening and connecting with some of our council members.
I just texted Councilmember Cohen, but someone can text Councilmember Esparza.
Is she coming back?
I think the council member was just on a phone call, so she should be back with us.
Should we ask you more questions just to keep it going? No.
I do have more questions. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
Sorry, I asked.
Esparza's online.
Perfect. Okay, so we are going to take a vote on the update that we just heard from the American Rescue Plan spending plan for children and youth focused programs and services. And we have a motion and a second. So let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Cohen, Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco, Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we are going to move on to our last item on our agenda, which is open forum.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman. I had to run a few end of the day errands, so I'm ending my public comment on Zoom. Thanks a lot for your meeting today. Neighborhood Services is always a real interesting meeting, and thanks for your work today. I wanted to offer a few words. I use the term the trick of innovation. With all the words I tried to speak of on the previous item, I don't want to be my use of the word trick to be mistaken. I meant it in friendly terms, in terms that it takes a lot of work to really understand the concepts of innovation. And so teachers, they have a lot of different ways to explain to explain the process of what exactly is innovation and what it can be and what it can be about. And however teachers try to teach and however students try to learn, there's sometimes tricks of the trade involved and just a learning process involved for all of us that it's much larger than just technology itself. Just to be saying we've got our law enforcement in check, now we're awesome. We have our 5G in check for a digital future, now we're awesome. It's much more than that. And I think I tried to describe some of those things today. I know you guys know these things, but we need to be reminded of it and really learn how to just be more open and how to talk about accountability, I feel, and its civil protection values that can be instilled, the responsibility that can be instilled in our community. And we don't have to fear that. Good luck how we don't fear that. With 22 seconds, I guess, I've tried to speak, whoever will end up being the mayor of the next San Jose. I've tried to speak on practices that we should be thinking about how to continue. And good luck in those efforts. I'll be talking about that in the next few weeks. Thanks a lot.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. And that is the end of our Neighborhood Services and Education Committee meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us. And we'll see you next month.